Hold up. There we go. We got a new game mode out of nowhere. I guess I'll edit it down in the VOD, but check this out, guys. Developing a new game mode. If you didn't see this, I really wish there was something for PvP. Magically, there it is. We'll see if it comes out before 2026, but I'll roll the intro again and let's get this started. Let's go! Hey you guys, I'm Pseudo. Welcome back to the show. Sorry about that. We got a fun show in store for you guys tonight. We actually have a special performing guest, and if you don't know him, my friend Sea Monster is also one of my officers. He's really chill. So hey Shoctify, hey KS, hey everybody, welcome back. This is South Sun. It's tragically not the new expansion quite yet, but I figured I'd go here and just get us a little bit of a taste of what we've got in store for us coming up in the expansion. But we're going to be hitting up the guild hall, and we're also going to be hitting up the surprise spear post that they had tonight. You'll have to forgive me, chat's on the left tonight, so I'm going to be looking at my wall a bunch to try to respond to chat, but still playing around with the face cam. I had to get it out just for this, and I have it pending next week. But, so, let's look at this article. It's something I didn't get a chance to go through before, and let's pull this up, shall we? Hopefully you guys are well, hopefully you are enjoying. Silhouette, can you DM me or either accept my invite on Discord? Because the Discord link should work, but it I don't know why it isn't for you. But what up? Welcome back. Hopefully you guys are well. Hopefully you're enjoying all of the amazing communication that we're getting. And this is something I want to stress. Even if we're going to look at this article right now, pull it up here. We got a surprise little notification and primer for literally get to the point on spears. But I want to stress this, guys. As somebody who lived through Icebrood Saga, and as somebody who lived through the deluge that was the nothing of Thunderhead Keep, I want to stress that ArenaNet, going into this expansion, whatever you think about them, they have had stellar communication compared to literally any of their other launches. Say what you will about them, you know, you can enjoy the expansion or you cannot, but their communication is 1,000,000,000% better. And that is the number one thing I was asking for them. But without further ado, let's jump into this. And I am really excited. Let's go. Straight to the point. A primer on spears in Janthir Wilds. Hello travelers, my name is Taylor Brooks. I am a combat designer here at ArenaNet. And I'll be your guide to our new combat feature in Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds, the Code and Spear. So I guess we're not getting anything later. It's just like Code and Spear training. Code and Spear training mastery. By training the lowland Coden of Janthir, you'll learn how to use your spear on land in new exciting ways. Starting tomorrow and over the next few weeks, so maybe we get some more tomorrow, maybe some screenshots or teasers or something, we'll be detailing how each profession utilizes terrestrial spear. For today, I thought it would be a good idea to cover some general spear information they'll need to know. Got some lovely pictures here, very high-res splash art, very cool. Question, will spears be one-handed or two-handed weapons on land? Spears will be, that's actually a decent question. Spears are two-handed weapons, both on land and underwater. Duh. For the last part. Will spears on land... I'm kind of disappointed the warrior doesn't like dual-wield spears. I'd make another one just for that. Will spears on land just use the same skills as when underwater? No! Every spear has an entirely new set of skills for each profession when used on land. They also have brand new skill effects and animations that we are excited for everyone to see. Sick. If every profession is getting a spear, does that mean I look forward to everyone calling them out on the animation thing and being pedantic nuts jobs, including myself? If every profession is getting spear, what does that mean? Or does that mean they will all feel the same? Spears are a versatile weapon, and their gameplay will reflect that. Some professions will employ the spear as a ranged projectile weapon. Please, dear God, let warrior throw them. Some will wield it as a melee weapon, and others will utilize it as a magical focus to cast powerful spells. And if you saw, the Guardian actually has this funky reverse grip thing that I put in the intro, where they throw it and catch it, and they seem to change their stance, which is pretty cool. The Norn chick in the trailer is a Guardian, by the way. At least going by the animations, unless they made Necromancer blue or something. Question, how do I unlock spear usage on land? The ability to use terrestrial spears will be available when Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds launches. They will be locked behind the first mastery in the Coden Mastery line, which is discovered early in the story, or as a purchasable unlock in World vs. World. We want everyone to be able to use the spears early and throughout your journey in Janthir. Sick. As with all the other combat features, Code and Spear training will be unlocked automatically in PvP for those who own Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds. Don't say that, Shoctify. Don't. You know what? Yeah, Warrior will be melee. Wink. I agree. Definitely melee. Wink. Can I use my current underwater spear on land? Yes, spears can be used interchangeably in the aquatic and terrestrial weapon slots. But it is important to note that to equip a spear in both slots, you will need 2 spears because that's how numbers work. I'm a little disappointed too, but if you're worried about this, I almost guarantee, I guarantee a lot of things and then none of them come true, but ArenaNet, it would be to your benefit to have the legendary spear Koala Kataki in the Wizard's Vault. Just saying. Like day 1. Which spear skills can I use on land? All current spears will be able to be used on land. We also plan on adding spear skins with current and for future weapon skins. I added current because they're actually in the new Black Lion set they put out, which is quite funny. I'll hit you up. We'll figure it out after this silhouette. Sorry about that. Will there be a new legendary spear? There will be a new legendary spear released with our first major update following the expansion release. So that's the first one. That's not with the expansion dropping. That's one after, which is great. I'm glad we don't have to wait 3 for legendary relics cough. Additionally, the legendary armory will be expanded to start before Koala Kataki. I did my best in case you want to wield all spears at the same time, or all the spears at the same time. Sup, Variety? Welcome back. Hopefully you're well. Since engineers and elementalists can use spears in the expansion, will they gain the ability to wield spears underwater too? This question is why I actually got excited. Because I've been going back and forth on the whole everything gets spear thing. I originally, knee-jerk reaction, hated it. I'm actually really coming around to it because I'm excited to see how they diversify different professions using it in different ways. And also because that kind of sets a tone if, like, say, for a random example, the elementalist spear, which is getting a buttload of new skills, is vastly better than something like the warrior or the thief spear on land, right? So we will see. Professions that currently use the spear underwater will continue to not be able to use these underwater. I actually, no offense to NG, Elementalist, everything else, I love this sentence. Sea Monster, the character that's throwing spears in the trailer is a guardian. Unless they made Warrior blue. But we can talk about it. There's our special performing guest. This is Sea Monster. Axie, he is a big Guild Wars 1 dude, and we will be talking about housing going forward a little bit after this article. I'll jump on Discord and get you guys all sorted out. But I'm really excited about this, not because I hate Elementalist or Engineer out of principle. I actually really like them, especially my NG bros. They gave me a gun saber that sucks. But for all seriousness, this actually gave me a lot of hope because it probably means they're also not reworking they're not spending dev time reworking existing underwater spear skills to sort of put new things there when spear already is very functional underwater on things like Ellie and Ranger, Warrior and Ranger and such. So I'm actually pretty stoked that they asked this and that they answered this, or that they chose to pick this as a question to answer, right? Do you need to own Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds to wield spears on land? Yes, this combat feature requires the ownership of the expansion. Good that they clarified that, I suppose. Will there be a beta test for spears? Yes, there will be a beta event that leaked that was first announced in the MMORPG article, June 27th, so that's in a couple weeks, and they have a preview, just truncating this a bit, at noon, June 21st, which we will, of course, be doing a reaction and little stream for, at noon Pacific time, so that's 3 p.m. Eastern, so get subscribed, get followed if that's something you're into. And then here's some teasers, guys, so you can whet your appetite and get excited. Will there be a live stream? Yes, yes, yes. We'll be back tomorrow and the coming weeks. So again, we'll be back tomorrow, so hopefully more in the coming weeks. I love that they're drip feeding us. This is honestly one of my favorite things that they do because everyone gets guessing and gets hyped and then gets inevitably let down when, reality crashes down to their expectations. I'm kidding. But only just. I do really like the teasers they put out. We'll be back tomorrow in the coming weeks with more information about the new spears and their skills. We're very excited. Give everyone a taste, so we'll leave you with some teasers as to what you can expect to see. Tragically, they're text teasers, but a spear skill reminiscent of an old fan favorite, a new type of auto attack mechanic, sick, a set of spear skills featuring a new spin on an existing skill type, a set of spear skills with multiple ways to reset the cooldown of its key skill, Ranger, a melee spear skill that rewards careful positioning, thief, how many blurbs we got here? We have 8, and then we have regular ass bitch warrior skills down at the bottom that they didn't mention. A set of spear skills that features Remaining auto attack mechanisms seen in the original Guild Wars. Or reimagining of the mechanics seen in the original Guild Wars. And I know CMC is a big Guild Wars 1 dude. A spear skill that inflicts a debilitating effect with a unique effect. New unique effect. Interesting. A set of spear skills that require precise aiming at range. Cool. Hey, it's our crafting man. All right, so that's pretty psyched, honestly. I really hope so, KS. I hope the Warrior's the Paragon. We'll see. But let me jump into Discord, get this rolling for you guys. I'm super stoked that, again, they're putting out teasers at all for the spear stuff. I think that's amazing. It gives me a lot of content as a build channel and a build enthusiast to do. Look at this man with his tiger bow. He just wants to fish. He just wants to fish. Can you tell? Nice shorts. Okay, let me hop into VOA. Let me make sure we're not mirroring too many things. Want to get an echo here. But yeah, I figured I would hit Sea Monster up today because he's a good resource. He's also been my crafting bitch. You might have to mute me on... No, I can do this. Here, mute the stream, Sea Monster, and then we can do this. He's also my waterproof...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hopefully
all right.
Not blowing out everything. So this is Sea Monster. He's a huge Guild Wars 1 dude. He's also a huge PvP dude. He's also a really chill dude. And he's been my crafting slave, but I've been paying him, so I guess indentured servant for the past. And I wanted to defer most of the stream to you, because one of the things that I've been noticing, especially with like Wooden Potatoes doing their reaction video and everybody else, is I can get incredibly hyped about things that I'm super enthusiastic about, like new build stuff or new sigils or new stats in the game. That's what I'm into. But I have not, like, the housing reveal to me kind of went, like, landed, and I was just like, eh. But you were like, mind blown, this is my MMO now. And I'm a firm believer in, if someone's passionate about something, I can get super into it, even if it's like underwater basket weaving. So I figured I'm just gonna like craft stuff in the guild hall and you can talk for the rest of the stream. Because I'd like you to sell me on housing.
All right. Well, I mean, to run it all alone, that's a lot of pressure. But I mean, yeah, housing is what I've been waiting for. To me, that's what makes this game complete. We've always needed housing. I think Guild Wars, from its inception, has been a game that the housing system would pull together pretty much every single aspect of gameplay. Like, a housing system is the perfect opportunity to tie in PvE, Warverse World, and PvP into one place to kind of show your progress in all of them and actually give you value for being a PvX gamer instead of just choosing one game mode to main. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't have like the elevator
put you on the spot. No. I get questions. So like, I want to just put you on the spot and be like, yo, sell housing to me or I'm not buying the expansion. That absolutely is not like, I probably phrased that poorly. The thing is, because we were talking a little bit about after all this dropped and we've been going back and forth and such, like, to me, the guild hall, I mean, I have a guild hall, right? I run a guild. I have infinite money functionally. Like, to me, housing doesn't really, like, it doesn't sell me because, I don't know. I've never been a big Minecraft guy, even though I really do like creating stuff. So I guess my first question is, like, to you, this was a promised feature when they announced Guild Wars 2 to begin with. What was your idea of housing, like, when it got into Guild Wars 2 originally?
Like what we actually saw with the housing instance, or what I hoped for? What
you saw, what you hoped for. How did you think it would be implemented, like, maybe a year after you started playing Guild Wars 2?
Yeah, I mean, the way it was originally pitched was it would show off your story progress. Like, every choice you made in the personal story with that old personality system. Like, I mean, the example they always gave, and still sort of the idea of it still exists in the game, is in the human storyline, you get to choose between saving the orphanage or the hospital. Mm-hmm. And their pitch was, in your personal housing instance, your choice would be real. You would go into your instance, and if you chose the orphanage, the hospital would be burnt down, and it would just be this burnt husk there for the rest of your gameplay time. You would always, on that character, go into your instance, and the hospital would just be ashes. I think in the actual game on launch, and to this day, in your actual
Obviously
instance,
that didn't
both
happen
those
yet.
structures, yeah, they're still, no matter what choice you are, they're still both there as if it was instantly repaired. And that was just like their introduction to it. That was sort of the surface level. It seemed like the way they wanted it to be was as you progress through the story, every choice would matter. Like if you chose Order of Whispers, you'd have an Order of Whispers base in your personal instance,
So
and a bunch of NPCs would spawn. And it would just reflect your choices throughout the story and the open world. And what I kind of hoped for based on that, I personally always hoped for decorating, but I had already ditched that expectation back before launch and around launch, and I just assumed it would be a place to show off your achievements, to show off your progress. Like if I killed Tequatl, I could put a statue of Tequatl into my personal housing. And they eventually, I think, brought all of that into guild halls. And I think guild halls really was the culmination of everything. Yeah, I mean, I think guild halls was everything and more that they had originally planned for personal housing. That's where I thought personal housing would never happen because of guild halls.
Well, the cool part to me is that they did and again, I have to go back to, and y'all feel free to ask questions and stuff. We are on Discord, Maddie, but we're just going to do this thing and I'll get everyone set up after the stream or whatever. I need to invite everybody. The cool thing is, like, they already announced, and they did it really fast, and this is why I have to go back to the whole... I'm a huge fan of their better communication now, because immediately they announced housing, and then, like, the smart people, or, like, the people who are aware of how much a bitch scribing is, as you've been finding out, were like, it better not take scribing. And they were like, no, it doesn't take scribing. So they've promised that this is going to be the most player-friendly version of housing in any MMO. And given their Wizards Vault follow-through, I believe that. I just don't know how.
I think they already hinted to it a little bit. I think it's going to be a mastery unlock. So I feel like the way the sort of base, the entry level of it is going to work is you get it through the masteries. Finishing the mastery, maybe we'll get a set of basic decorations. I think through just playing the story and the open world achievements, you'll get a set of basic decorations just unlocked. You don't even have to craft anything. It seems like, from what they said on the forums as well, it'll use a separate crafting discipline. People are saying it's either going to be, which I would also prefer, take from all the existing crafting professions, like weaponsmith gets special decorations, the armorsmith gets another set of special decorations, and each profession has their own craftable set, or they're just going to do a new profession entirely, which would be a very weird choice, but I guess also makes some sense.
Sergio's saying that, do you mean the current one that they have, or the one that they were going to get, Sergio? That the housing designer worked on the Sims, Sims 4.
That was also exciting.
Is it like the current one? They were saying stuff?
Yeah, so he released on Twitter, when they announced this, he posted on Twitter that
sick.
That's what he's like leading Homesteads, and he came from Sims 4.
That's actually kind of sick.
I think it's awesome. That gives me a lot of hope that I was scared to have.
You're like, that's really interesting. Now we just need a beetle race designer that worked on, like, Forza. Dude, that'd be sick. I still want to know you remember when they had that promotion when, like, the roller beetle came out? Complete pseudo tangent. You remember when the roller beetle came out and they were like, we're giving away a car?
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know who won that so bad. If there's, like, one Guild Wars 2 stupid Guild Wars 2 mystery, I want to know who won the effing car.
Yeah, that was actually me. It broke down in 2 months, though.
Well, it said you could also get, like, $21,000, but, like, the income tax on either of those things would be astronomical, so I have to wonder if someone didn't just take the money. Like, oh, man. Yeah.
They must. There's no way someone actually took the car, right?
Yeah,
I feel like that's what we learned from Pimp My Ride. You never take the car.
Yeah, probably. All right. So, yeah, guys, feel free to ask questions and stuff. Silhouette, I'll try to get you set up while we do this, but we have so much content to go through, so sorry if I'm all over the place this week, but, like, trying to cover all of it to the best I can, and apparently I was actually sick the other day, so Daikuru is a better doctor than I am. So apologies for that, but, so, for housing, right, like, if we already have guild halls, you've sent me, like, a bunch of stuff, and I have read it, but I've been in the gym all day. You said there might be some, like, cool way to integrate it with, like, a new guild hall. What's your vision? Like, what's your pie in the sky? Let's reach for some stars here. No budget required, like infinity budget. What do you hope they do?
Okay, so I guess my biggest hope is that, number one, it does what Wizards Vault did to the daily system to the whole achievement system.
Okay,
And
so it's focusing
also
on
merges
achievements.
that. Well, I think focusing on progression, every progression system in the game through, but I think achievements is probably where they sort the hub for them. But I think that merged with guild halls and just guild content in general, because they said something which was suspicious to me. It gave me hope. I hope it's not way more hope and optimism than is
Nah,
earned.
do it, dude.
But yeah, what it made me think about immediately was they said you can share this instance with your friends and guild members.
Right.
What that probably means is that's just the basic permissions for who can enter. But what I want it to mean is you can essentially merge plots together into one instance to build this sort of mini guild hall of multiple people. And what that made me start dreaming about is essentially these homesteads are like instances within an instance of a guild hall, where you're in your guild hall, and from your guild hall you can go to your house, your homestead plot.
Right.
And they sort of release this guild hall hub that is their homestead hub, and so you can hang out in the common space, like it's sort of like a college dorm, and everyone has their little room,
see.
And then the common space is the guild hall.
Right. So, not to... I guess the dorm model's a better thing than what I was going to say. I was going to say there's a really good psychology study where if you treat prisoners like that, instead of giving them individual cells, they reform better. But the dorm analogy is much better. And that would be sick, because then you could have your little branching space, and you could also be like, hey, guild leader, can we have like a TV or a pool in the common area? And I could be like, no, fuck off, pay me. But no, that'd be cool. We can run around or do stuff if you want, if you can multitask. If you can't, that's totally cool.
We each need a golden sink in our little apartment.
Well, what else am I gonna do with my 25? So it occurred to me, just again, another pseudo tangent, like a really good way to get videos that people care. Oh my god, what is this? What have you done? I didn't know you could interact with. What is? Can I?
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite decorations.
This is sick. I've tasked him with making 2 of every decoration. It's partially where my money's been going, guys, because I was like, I could have 2 chalk egg sacks, or we could like have a baller guild hall. So I chose option B, but complete pseudo tangent that I've now forgotten. I've like started realizing that places to get good video ideas that people actually give a shit about, since I'm not monetizing any of this crap. Like, feel free to give me Prime subs if you want, but it goes to giveaways regardless. And thank you if you do. Is like, people always jump in and ask me questions, and the more people that ask me questions, I'm like, that would be a good video. And a lot of people have been like, how do you make all your gold? So I'm just gonna make like a 1-minute video. It'd be like, I make End of Dragon legendaries and sell them. That's the end of the video. Enjoy it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I've been doing with it. And I just hope it's not, I hope it's an organic way. I mean, there's no way there aren't homestead decorations in the gem store. I understand they have to fund their game, and hats are a good way to do that. I hope the ones that are earnable in the game, which there again have to be, and they've started putting more earnable mounts in the game, are meaningful, right?
I'm giving a lot. It's like what you said about their new way of communicating. I think the current leadership, I give a lot of credit to being smart about understanding how to finally realize the potential of this game. And I think a huge part of that is what they're showing in the trailer has to be in-game unlocks, or people will be pissed, because that's terrible optics if like the kegs they showed off in the trailer is a gem store unlock.
Right.
That would just be false advertisement in a lot of people's eyes.
Bladesworn. What? Sorry. I had to cough there while saying Bladesworn. Continue.
Yeah, sure.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah, I think at least everything in the trailer will probably be some way to unlock in game, if not free. I think there will probably be multiple tiers of like craftable decorations, achievement-based decorations, whatever. I know I really believe that Homestead is this expansion version of the Wizard's Vault.
I hope there's
so whatever it's tied to, that's going to be, I think, the main way of getting a lot of decorations. And I really do think if they got a Sims 4 dev leading this, I really do think there will be a very good amount of decorations
in the Wizard's Vault, dude.
Oh, that's actually probably it. Yeah.
And they just like have a buttload of those on launch, because they already have the decorations, right? We've already been playing with them.
Yeah.
Like again, they talked about reusing side tech, right? That'd be sick. Silhouette mentions that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He wants a place so he can hang up his legendaries. I think that would be awesome. Imagine going into like Slade's homestead, right? Like literally all of the like every single slot is like, here's 4 legendary spears, here's fucking, you know, 18 twilights that he can't use.
I mean, at the very least, they already have the Guild Wars 1 example of the Hall of Monuments, right? Like a place to show off
this is kind of
physical representation of your titles, your legendaries. They showed, I mean, in the trailer, there was a clear place that looked like stables, right? So show like just like how you raised your sky scale in Living World 4 or whatever it was, you could like see your sky scale and play with it in your homestead. Someone I was reading the forums earlier, and I saw someone had a great suggestion of you can see your alts, right? You can just like populate.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like getting to see the fashion wars of all your characters all at once.
I think that's a Lost Ark feature. I played Lost Ark for about 8 seconds, and I think that was in there with their home instances. So it's not impossible. I mean, very little is, but yeah, that would be fantastic. I'm just going to decorate this common area while we talk. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat. So my next question for you is like, I don't want to ask you what realistically you think ArenaNet can do, because this expansion actually gives me a buttload of hope. I don't know why I keep getting fooled into it, but I do. Keep giving them the money or something. There's something wrong with me. But like, for real, I still am a huge proponent of Soto was worth your money. Even if it was $25 just to fund the Wizard's Vault because you want this game to exist, I think that's a good one. I think Soto was worth your money. If for no other reason than to give them a chance. Like if they fuck up twice in a row, maybe not, but you know, we'll see. I'm trying to think realistically, because we're also getting, because this is not a feature for hardcore raid people, but we're also getting, as Na pointed out in chat, like we're getting like homesteads, which basically, you know, half to a third of the community care about. And then we're getting a raid, which have to, with a legendary challenge mode version, which half to a third of the well, maybe 10% of the community to less care about. But it's like completely different, you know? So I'm trying to see, like, in my mind, if there's any overlap there, or even if there needs to be, you know?
I mean, that's why I think I give them a lot of credit for being smart, because I really think they thought for a long time about how to diversify the expansion features to hit as many player bases as possible, because I think they chose the 3, especially with that PvP mode, like they chose options that I don't think there's overlap for, and especially for between raid and PvP players, like feel like they've been starved of content for years with no focus on their communities.
That's true. And again, okay, so I should have brought this up at the beginning of the stream, actually, because this happened literally while I was finishing up my workout in the gym, and it happened when I was talking to my friends earlier in Discord, in a different Discord, and it also happened when they announced this, like literally the day of in chat. Guild Wars 2, and I wish I had the graphic. I'm gonna go find it and I'll post it later on the channel, but people have seen it. It has like 9 different ways that you can dive in. You can go PvP at level 2, you can world versus world, you can never touch PvE, you can raid, you can just RP, you can, you know, there's just 9 different directions that you can go in Guild Wars 2, and it's great for that. But that makes it really tough, because you can never, you know, trying to appease one of those communities to 100% like satisfaction, or 98 as close as you can get, is a nightmare already. Trying to appease all 9 of them is crazy. So I kind of like this approach, even though the new fractal is a mess, and the new raid is probably going to be a mess, as Silhouette points out. Like, I'm kind of the fan of just like, let's just do stuff right now. I don't want them to release unreleased things. Lord knows I bitch about Bladesworn enough, but like, or unfinished things. I do like this new approach where it's like, hey Aries, what's up? Let's just like try stuff, and let's try stuff that we already have like the bones for, you know?
Yeah. I really do think they're focusing in on what does this game already have, what potential is there without having to do new assets, anything expensive, right? New animations, new assets.
What can we
And I think they've been doing a great job. Exactly. Yeah. I agree with a lot of their takes and a lot of what they focus on, especially with this expansion. I feel like this combined with Soto, I'm on board. Soto, I was still skeptical. But maybe it's just because I've always wanted personal housing and I love The Sims. So this was the one for me. But I did, like, after playing, so I think it's funny because I actually I think I have the opposite reaction to Soto than I see most people have. I couldn't stand the first launch of it. I really loved the Nio stuff. I loved everything in the release 2 and 3 were awesome for me. 1 was I was starting to get on board, and then I was fully on board by release 3.
Well, this is a great example of what I just said, where it's like, you know, some people, a weapon, the quintessential Guild Wars example will be like, a weapon comes out, or something comes out in the gem store, and literally half of the guild, or close to, is like, I love this new cosmetic. And the other half is like, that looks like dog shit. And imagine that now with features, right? So and again, you have 9 different professions whenever they do it. They have, you know, everything's getting spear, but in a different way. So there'll be inevitable bitching there. And it's like juggling all these things. Like, I'm astonished ArenaNet doesn't get worse PR. Even with their better communication now, you know? It's like crazy to me. Hey, Mine, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. It's so insane. Like, I knew Soto, again, I don't believe that funding, you know, buying something based on future promises is good, but I personally would have paid $25 just for the new weapons in Soto, even if they came down the road. I know a lot of people wouldn't have, but we got way more than that. We got the continuation of our game, you know? The Wizard's Vault is arguably the best battle pass system that's in a game, and it doesn't have a premium tier, which is crazy for when you think about it, you know?
Yeah.
So if they can do something that's that player-friendly to keep up the guild goodwill now that they sort of built it with Soto, and they were clearly ready for this, right? They were ready for Soto to finish. They were ready probably for people to be like, for once, and they usually aren't, to their credit, like, ready for people to throw, you know, FOMO Briars or more shit fit of like 2 months. And then, like, now you look at Reddit and everyone's like, houses, spears, take my money.
Yep. I mean, I think it's 2 things people have been asking for forever. I think the biggest thing housing brings is it's like, I think the RP community in this game has always been sort of like on life support because it's never really been supported. I mean, it's been supported in different ways, but exactly, yeah.
It's a niche community that, again, most of your people, and we were talking about this sorry to cut you off in Discord. I'll stop doing that. I won't, but I'll try. When we were talking about this earlier in Discord, I have a friend who plays this game just for raids and combat. And again, that's like sub 10% of the people. And I care about raids and combat too. It's just most of the people in this game don't, and also the people that raid don't really, they're not like, you know, people who are going to buy hats or keep funding the game. So the discussion then is like, okay, do we turn it into WoW where we have a subscription model and we keep churning out Lost Ark content, or WoW/Lost Ark content, or do we sell hats and appeal to those people? And I think that raid plus houses plus spears, like, just those 3 things, let alone like the 8 I had on the beginning of the, you know, channel at the, like, all the new features they announced, I think that's a really good Venn diagram for $25 for an expansion, you know, even if it's for a year.
And I mean, I really believe, I think to me, the biggest long-term value of housing and why this game has, I think it's really like cut this game's potential down massively for never having it to this point, is it's probably the biggest incentive to get casual players to at least try raids, to build out the fractal raid and strike communities in a way that I don't think they've ever been able to achieve otherwise. Because if you get to actually show off your raid achievements in your personal housing, and especially if there's like dedicated spaces or slots for those things and you see it empty every time you log in, you're going to want to try to fill those things, and you're going to get over all of the stigma around it and at least try it because you want to fill out your personal housing and you want to complete it.
Right.
Those bragging rights, I think, are the biggest thing. And at least, I don't know, from everyone I've heard that plays Final Fantasy, that played like WildStar, that plays good housing system MMOs, the bragging rights are the biggest part for the general audience.
So how do they do bragging rights without pissing everybody off and saying it's locked content? Just like make it easy but long term? Or accessible but long term? Because a great analogy again to there's content for everybody except when there isn't thing is like, I have a friend who, you know Juice, right? Like, longtime PvP enthusiast, really good player. But whenever there wasn't a balance patch or a new, you know, PvP season, he would say there's nothing to do in the game. I'd be like, but dude, do the sky scale. And he'd be like, no, I don't want to pick on Juice because a lot of my friends did this, right? But they were like, no, it's too easy. Or I could do that whenever I want. And I was like, then why don't you do it? And it's just because the content's not for them. So, but to him, finishing the Skyscale collection or people like him is the hardest thing in the world. To me, you know, getting top 25 is pretty difficult because I have to, or, you know, if I was a new PvP player, it'd be really, really difficult because I'd have to like learn everything. And then something like finishing achievements, to me, I couldn't stand, but loads of people love achievements. So like, where do you think the middle ground with unlocking housing decorations is?
Yeah, Silhouette, I'll get to your point in a second. They just need it at every tier, right? I think they need easy, medium, hard. Yeah, I think they just need different. I mean, it's the same thing with guild halls and scribing. Like, there's
right.
the 6 levels of decoration, and then interspersed there's like the golden sink and these ridiculous gold sinks. But you can just go to a vendor and buy all the basic decorations for like 24 silver each.
Right. Okay, so they could have different releases, like different ways of releasing it. Again, they what was the really good example where they were like, hey, you can unlock this or you can just pay money to do it? The original Sky Scale collection, I actually like the huge mistake with the Grow Lamps notwithstanding. You can nitpick anything, but like the one thing that I came across that when I came across it, I was like, whoa, this was great, was the Sky Scale collection, because you could do it, and it was originally like, you know, 200 gold or a little bit less to unlock, or you could just like pay to skip all the jumping puzzles if you just didn't want to bother with that one, right? And I was like, that's really smart, because that also balances the economy. Like, because you can just do the jumping puzzle if you don't have gold, or you just want to, or you're good at jumping puzzles. You can help your friends, or you can just pay to skip it, you know? So I guess as long as people don't say pay to win, and you know, which they will, people complain about everything. Humans are wired to resist change, but it is what it is. I like that idea, like at least for some of the stuff.
I've always been skeptical that one of the reasons why they never greenlit personal housing is because I think no matter how you do a personal housing system, people will claim it's pay to win.
That makes sense. So I mean, this will be less of an issue because it's a new feature and they'll probably give it more attention, but Silhouette brings up a really good point in chat where he's talking about the new fractal and the CM, and in case you haven't played them, they're buggy as fuck. They're pretty, but they're buggy as fuck. And for people who have to interact with this on a daily system basis, you kind of get the same reaction as people who, I'll just walk our roller beetle race, it'll be great. You get the same reaction as people who, what's it called? You know how like when the Wizard's Vault dailies came out, and instead of like fixing the old jumping puzzles or the dungeons that were bugged, they just like removed them, right? Which is because, you know, that's a more cost efficient way than paying somebody to go back into the code, you know, whatever dev salary is. I guess my hope there, as far as interacting with housing and the new rewards goes, is I'm glad they're doing stuff. Like I said, and as obviously as somebody who plays Bladeswar, and I swear to God that'll be the last time I say that word this stream, no one needs to run away and hide, is I hope it's not immediately abandoned. You know what I mean? Which is like what they talked. No. Housing? Just housing, because they talked about, you know, you can talk.
I think that's
talk
why they're
big
doing
game.
Housing.
Right. You can talk big game, and you can say, you know, we'd like to keep this system up, but, and to ArenaNet's credit, you know, they did put out a whole blurb on it, but you know, I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing, right?
I mean, I think it's fair to be skeptical about it, but that's why I think housing is like a slam dunk, the easiest thing. I mean, after the original building it feels like the easiest thing to upkeep, because it would be like ranger pets, right? Like you can each release you can put like an easy decoration, a hard decoration. Like I don't even think they even need to add that many decorations with each release, but the fact that
you get the basics
they haven't forgotten about it, exactly. Like the fact that every time they drop a patch, or even just randomly, they could throw in an extra decoration, and especially I think with integration with like Extra Life or charity streams, I think at any point they could, especially if they're smart and they don't implement all of the existing guild hall decorations at launch, they already have a wealth of decorations they've added into the game with no extra work that they can just pop in as a bonus whenever and be like, hey, we got you. Yeah.
Hey, here, our expansion, you know, we need to sell our new expansion. Here's a bunch of swimsuits.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. I think the swimsuit thing is all the confirmation I need that even if they just treat this as a cash cow, it will be functional and effective as a cash cow.
I'm really glad
they just put a bunch of gem store stuff in, and I think it could also work like the old angry chest or whatever, where you get like a little mini quest from buying a gem store unlock.
Right, and I'm not trying to devalue it all. I think that, you know, anybody's complaints, especially about bugs in this game, are valid. This game's 10 years old, but still, you know, they should fix their shit before they launch it. But, and like people like Silhouette, where the fractals are the thing you do. And as somebody who did fractals every day for a year, that's the thing you do, right? Like, you don't want it to be buggy, and it's frustrating when it is, especially when it launches and they just don't fix the bugs or they sweep them under the rug, right? But there is... I don't want to dismiss it as there's a limited amount of development budget that they can give to fixing anything in the game, but there's a limited amount of development budget to fixing anything they have in the game. I do hope they fix Silent Surf one day. I do hope they fix Lonely Tower one day, sooner than later. Especially because those are things that people have to interact with, and I would like the dungeon or fractal community to still exist. Dungeons are a great example of a community where they were like, they didn't maybe act on in time, right? They've even started calling fractals, fractal dungeons. But this is a new community that they're fostering, and it's in an interesting way. Ocean Bat brings up they're going to get a lot of support when they start selling housing environments when, I don't know if you're watching chat, for 2 to 3K gems.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a great idea. I would like to see all the base housing environments be free. I think that I personally, even with all the money I have in this game, I would have been kind of ticked off if they started selling guild halls for like 5K gems or whatever. Even if you could crowdsource it. I'd personally be more okay with like individual decorations, unless it's literally like, I don't know, a giant golden dildo, which everybody obligatory has to buy, right?
I do think that's the value for ArenaNet's like bottom line is over guild halls. I don't think they can justify doing that for a communal space, but doing it for personal, I do think they will have environments. I think that's what I'm most scared of. They better have more than one environment at launch, and they really should implement I think they need 3. What you just brought up, like the Asura, the racial housing aesthetics. I think they need a way to unlock that in-game.
I see.
Either on launch or during this expansion's life cycle, because I really think people are going to want that, and they're going to be mad if they don't get it.
Do you know what the Soto Masteries do?
No,
I have no idea.
It's like getting extra rewards from convergences or something.
Right. Yeah, I have no earthly clue other than you get to play the game now.
This is the best mastery since mounts.
Like, and to Mukluk's credit, it's something he's been rightfully complaining about forever. But, like, this is the first mastery system I think I give a shit about. Except for the like, be able to take updrafts as mounts thing. Like, they held off on that, just like swimsuits, and they did it in a way that people didn't hate. And that's like the only Soto mastery I can think of other than get more rewards from chests or whatever. Like,
I do think this could be the foundation to solving the mastery system. Like, the mastery system could actually realize some of its potential.
I mean, it could realize some potential. I would give you that.
I just think housing is the perfect place to be a hub for every progression system this game has. And like, this is what might be complete cope, but and it also might just be too late for it to have this effect. But to me, the biggest value of housing is the incentive to bring more people into fractals, raids, and strikes. And I think if it achieves that, if they can build these progressions to give you reasons, because it like bring that community that's interested in RP, interested in housing, give them a reason to enter fractals and strikes and raids for rewards, that influx of new players into those spaces would actually give them a reason to put dev resources.
Right.
Exactly. If it's used as a functional gateway, if it's used as like a hub, if they have like bouncy mushrooms in there, just different ways to bring every sort of progression system this game has into one hub, it'll give them much more of an excuse to actually put the dev time to not release a buggy CM.
That's true. And this is why I wanted to have you on here, because you're like thinking about all these, there's that great picture of like Charlie from Always Sunny with the board and the connections and stuff, but that really is like how they could do it. So, you want this fractal bench, go learn fractals now that there's a bunch of accessibility builds and you can literally do like 30k while auto attacking, right? Something like that.
I mean, something that it just popped into my mind. Probably never going to happen, but they could literally put like you use the Guild Wars 2 skill builder website, right? Like they could put a physical decoration to mess with your builds in the game, like put out a spreadsheet, put out a whiteboard in game, and build craft.
Don't fucking tease me like that. We're gonna have symposiums. It's gonna be like pseudo hosts whiteboard class. I'm gonna dress like Professor X. That'll be great.
I mean, that would be awesome.
So fundamentally, this game is an MMO. Like, grindy or not, vertical progression into, fractals or whatever or not. Like, this game is an MMO, and it, the joke of there's no actual guild wars and guild wars aside, which we won't be able to make anymore in 8 days, which is tragic, I know. This is something that I've been complaining about as a guild leader of, 70 years that I've been doing this shit. There aren't meaningful ways to actually interact outside of creating your own content with your guild. And guild missions are sort of the last bastion of that, and that happened, 8 years ago that those got updated, right? I would love, I make this joke, but it's serious every time they have a new release. I would love just a guild mission be like, go do the Soto meta that week or something. Some stupid excuse, and then just add stuff to the guild.com vendor. I like this idea that they've been shuffling players around because they've realized that there's a limited amount of activity for their game despite it being really good. They can't have everybody be in Lion's Arch anymore because they're passkeys. So they'll have like Arborstone be the new, public hub, right? Or Wizard's Tower be the new public hub, right? I like that. And then they don't count it as a whole map for the release. That's cool because it gives a place for people to be like, okay, this is the active one for that expansion, which is, a +1, -1, we sort of just have to deal with this in this day and age, right? But I do miss the sense of community. This is going to turn into me complaining about Discord thing, but before we had Discord, we used TeamSpeak. And the cool thing about TeamSpeak is, honestly, and this is going to sound like a negative, not everyone could have one. So we were like the place, right? You could have your channel, you could have like the PvP channel, but the PvP people had to hang out in their channel. Like the World vs. World people, they didn't have to, but they hung out in their channel. The Fractal group, this Fractal group had their channel. And that was really cool because even if you were off doing your own thing, you could, when you logged on to TeamSpeak, you would see a bunch of people doing their own thing, right? And be like, okay, the guild's active. Now you can see that on Discord, but the one feature that I would honestly pay Discord to have is when you logged onto a server, it put you in a slot. I don't know why they haven't done that because I'm an introvert too. I don't want to hang out with people, so everyone's online and no one's doing anything with anybody else or sees it. And I really miss that. And I don't think in today's day and age of Discord and everybody having their own free server, there's an organic, healthy way to get that back because I'm not going to force people to socialize. But back when we had that was really cool. So I really think that if they had a guild system that was just like, okay, here's the people doing guild missions, here's the people in World versus World, just like an organizational system so you could tag what you were doing and get some extra rewards for doing that. You could see everybody in your guild doing stuff and be like, hey, those people in Fractals, I'm gonna go bother them. And they'll be like, no, fuck off, we're doing Fractals or whatever. But at least that would be more interaction.
I do think this homestead feature is a great opportunity to implement that kind of idea and to revive the guild system and to give more visual, a new way to interact with the guild panel other than just pulling up the tab. I'm really nervous they're not going to do it, but I really think if they want to make good on their promise of putting a hat on a hat, they can't ignore guild calls. Well, yeah, I guess throwing away one hat to make a new shiny one, which I think is more true for ArenaNet. I feel like I always call it the ADHD dev philosophy, where they just get distracted and make a completely shiny feature, even if it's just a slightly different, better version of what existed already. Right. Fractals to dungeons. I personally always had a grudge against fractals. I was like, why does this exist when dungeons are here?
Right. Why did you kill my thing for the new thing that's the same thing?
Yeah. Especially when they added a whole gear progression system to it at the time, and I was one of the many people pissed about that.
A great example of this that they've done, I'll call out ArenaNet for their very, very stupid decisions, and a great example that literally pissed everybody off and then they were caught lying about recently is when they were just like, no, we're taking mystic coins out of fractals and putting them in strikes. Here's a bunch of bullshit words to explain why, and then they that whole Discord leaked where they were like, yeah, we're just doing it to shuffle people over to strikes. And it was like, yeah, we fucking knew that. Sorry, but that's ridiculous. So Silhouette pointed out that, dungeon rewards were nerfed to shit when fractals came out, and I think more so, yeah, a little bit of A, a little bit of B. Also, fractals rewards just like out-leveled them. And you know, someone's gonna at me in the comments. There's plenty of ways you can make money still with dungeons, right? But like specific recipes you can get and craft, and they're all RNG, and it actually does make money because those items sell because they're part of collections. I know. Be quiet. Or don't. But like I know what you're saying, where it's just like, here's a hat. That's the same hat we already had, ArenaNet. Like, no, it is different hat. Goodbye, give us money.
Yep. And I mean, I think that's what, like, at least for me, what would build so much more faith in ArenaNet and their direction is if they do an honest try of implementing guild halls into homesteads, or just guild content into homesteads. If the homesteads give more reason to be in a guild, more reason to play with your guild, more reason to just, like you said, like play alone with other people. Just, you know, they're doing something and you can feel what they're doing, and if you're not doing it with them, that I think is what the homestead system needs to be. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm skeptical about. I doubt it's going to be that, but if they do that, that's a home run for me. Like, that's what it needs to achieve. I don't even care. The system can be terrible. The decorations can be like no clipping and really stupid. You only have the one homestead look and no separate aesthetic. Everything else can suck and be bare minimum. But if they achieve the guild hall, like the guild content integration, I'll be in love with it and I'll be sold.
I think, yeah, I'm trying to think of, people have been talking like whether it's going to be instance, whether it's going to be like communal. I don't really know. It's gonna, you know, the game's 10 years old. It's gonna be buggy, whatever it is, at least at release. But hopefully they can, you know, it's their new baby. Hopefully they can raise it long enough to be a toddler. Let's go world versus world while we do this.
It made me slightly nervous because the way the screenshot looked with the portal in the background, it reminded me, it almost looked exactly like how Palia does the personal house, if you know that game.
Not a clue.
That train wreck of a game.
Pick 3 things that define it.
It's the farming sim MMO. It's like Animal Crossing the MMO. It's terrible.
Sick,
it's
I'd
garbage.
hate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but they have a really great housing system. Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's for anyone, to be honest. But it's like Stardew Valley just does everything better, and you can play with your friends, so it doesn't really need to be an MMO. But yeah, I don't know. The actual like housing decoration placing, like that system is incredible because I think UE5 just has great tools to do that with. But it's also just this like you're in this walled off canyon, like just how they had those like big walls of rock. You're in this very small walled off square.
Right.
And
this is your house.
Yeah, this is your house. Everyone has that same exact
Make it not suck.
Space and that same square, and they can do whatever they want with it. And there's a skybox or whatever. But yeah, it's not, because I think the cool thing. I mean, I think the draw of MMO housing is when it's persistent housing. ArenaNet obviously would never do that because everything is instant.
I feel like they don't have the server support to do that.
Cool. Exactly. Yeah, I just don't think it would be technically feasible. But what I do think could work, but also just might not be technically feasible, is having these merge instances where you can, like, up to 4 other people or something,
right,
merge your instances so you have this like master instance.
I wonder what the limit to having people in your like instance will be. It's got to be at least 10. There's it's RP community. It's got to be more than that. I don't know. Are you ready for streaming challenge mode? Let's go world versus world while we have this discussion.
All right,
sick. I'm going to Eternal Borderlands because that's a good idea, or Eternal Battlegrounds. Maddie writes that it's like because they have a new team. I think it's more like because they have an old team that was able to, honestly, Maddie, you're not wrong, but I'm going to re-clarify a little bit. A lot of the veteran people in in Guild Wars 2 right now that are in charge were in charge when the game launched, or from at least, you know, Colin and Josh are from like olden times where they, you know, left the studio and then went, oh, they kind of fucked this up. Let's go unfuck it now.
I mean, from my personal experience of going to PAX Prime in, I think, 2011, right before the game launched, the only dev I talked to I didn't trust was Mike O'Brien, who was like the last founder who stayed for so long and was in charge for so long.
Right.
And the 2 guys I like the most are the guys that are in charge right now. So that's why I have so much hope.
I think,
like, especially Colin. I think Colin's back in the leadership now, right?
He's running.
Everyone hated it.
He's running the studio. He's not game director. Josh is the game director. So
but yeah, I mean, I think Josh understands Guild Wars the best, and I think Colin always had the best vision. And I think he got a lot of shit because he was like one of the most sociable guys.
Head. And he wants to talk to people, and as soon as he says anything, people are like, "Oh, you didn't do that."
Exactly. Like he loved being the like mouthpiece, but he was, I think he was always a vision guy, but his vision was always great. And I do think a lot of his vision I see coming back into the game now, so I do think he has had a say at least in the discussions.
So Maddie, I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but you should go read the translated article about what we found out from NCSoft restructuring ArenaNet teams over the years, because if it feels like they've had ADHD and schizophrenia over the years, it's because they have, because the teams have literally been reshuffled almost every project they've done or something. Like, it's been the amount of little tidbits of information, like, people think that ArenaNet and a lot of NCSoft things are like ubiquitous. No, they have a lot of like friction to, you know, that they can't talk about a lot of the time, where it's like, oh, they shafted us out of our bonuses, guess we'll just shut up and take that again and stuff like that. So if it feels like they've been reshuffled, it's because they have. I'm not excusing everything they've done. They should still fix their bugs. Please fix this class that I'm playing that I'm not going to say at some point. But like, it's tough working for a company and then like people are yelling at you and you can't be like, well, I was told to do this, shrug. So yeah. But I'm just
wasn't NCSoft bragging about that in that same call where they accidentally dropped Guild Wars 3, even though I doubt it's what, if anything, is called.
Well, Guild Wars 3, again, people bring this up and ask me about this actually a lot, where they're like, what do you think of Guild Wars 3? I'm like, dude, I think that it's not coming out for like 6 years. It's not going to look anything like Guild Wars 2.
I believe it is Guild Wars 3 that they're working on.
That's possible. Guild Wars 2 Utopia.
It just, the way that investor call looked like, I don't think that investor knew what, or the board member, whoever was talking, knew what they were talking about in terms of internal titles. Like, I'm sure it's a new game set in the world of Guild Wars, but I don't think it's an MMO.
So Silhouette, I have a question for you, because there's been a lot of stuff coming out, or that has come out like via Discord leaks and such, and they did have a testing program application page that I think you can still find. I doubt it's active, but you probably still find and apply for like a player, not a player test realm, but like an alpha and stuff for like the people who are in the raid testing that we've had leaks about. Like, would you feel better or worse if you were in, and this goes for everybody in chat or catching the VOD, like the crappy part about being in any kind of alpha testing group, especially for a game like Guild Wars, is you might have a bunch of good ideas. You might suggest a bunch of stuff and point out a lot of bugs. Are you going to feel better or worse if literally all of that is ignored? Right? And it's tough. So, you know, like, I can't imagine, you know, imagine testing something like Zera or anything else that has any number of bugs for any, you know, the years. The jetpack bug on Zera is a really good example, where it was in the game for years and you pointed that out and pointed it out and pointed it out. And then only like years later were they like, oh yeah, we'll fix this. You know? Or it's like, oh, that, you know, you could have done that on launch, but you didn't. You know, I don't... It's a you know, ebbs and flows thing. To me, at least. There's
also been a pretty clear relationship between content ArenaNet devs actually play and stuff that gets fixed quickly.
Yeah,
and there's just a lot less. I've seen a lot more recently, but I think over time there's been a lot less devs who actually play the game. Versus like Guild Wars 1, the devs were constantly playing.
I think they play the game a lot these days. I think they don't tag up. I have a lot of them added, and I see them log on and off.
I see them a lot recently. Like, I just did a convergence with 2 devs in it. And the new, like, Dragon Bash came out, and I saw 4 devs in my instance just running around, and I think a few more that weren't tagged. Yeah, I think the devs are loving the game again. So that's also, I think, points to the health of the game. If the devs are finally going back to what ArenaNet always claimed, they make games they want to play, it seems like that might finally be true again.
Ocean Bat says they've done some testing for some AAA games before and they hardly take mechanic feedback unless they specifically ask for it. Mechanic feedback is tough because it requires a rework and it also requires like them to think that their idea was bad, right? Or that your idea is better. And a lot of times people in creative roles, myself included, will think, no, even look at my land spear thing where I was initially just like, no, I'd rather have tridents on land, and now I'm like kind of coming around to it. It's like, not just because I didn't have that thought doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong, but I get that. So Silhouette, you'd rather be just shouting into the void even if all of it gets ignored. You could be like, at least I tried. Well, that's why we have YouTube, right? I don't know, man. I think to their credit, especially after the big Discord leak came out, you know, with balance and such. I think they've started listening to a lot more voices than they used to in the past. The Heaven's Palm thing is a good example of that, where people were like, this should stomp down players. And they probably had that idea to their credit and stuff like that, but eventually they were like, yeah, Heaven's Palm should stomp down players. The testers don't get paid for this game, Maddie. Not from what I know.
I do think there's also been a track record of like they implement things people said like 4, 5, 6 years in the past, and since they have a record of that feedback, they eventually get around to realizing it was a good idea.
That's true, and they probably have an enormous backlog. Again, I bring this up a lot. This came up in a guild chat earlier when you were talking about it. This game is 10 years old. It is so old. It's a miracle of God, or 11, 12, 14. This game is old, man. You could have had a kid and it could almost be in college. Like, maybe you did. It's crazy that this game is still going, and things like World versus World are still like trucking along, you know, with very little comparatively updates. I say that every time I'm like in it right now. It's my favorite game mode. I can't believe it still exists. You know, Edge of the Mist might not exist, but that's just down to one dumb decision, right? So I don't know. I'm trying to imagine a world in which I wouldn't give them $25 for this expansion, even though I personally don't actually care about any of it really hard. You know, like, again, you're super psyched about player housing. I'll get into it when it's out, but it's not something that's selling me. You know, I'm psyched about spears, but I know not everyone is, and that's not, you know, that would get me to spend $25 as I ramble about this, but like, I don't know if that would sell. If I wasn't already a build enthusiast, I don't know if that would sell me, but like, seems fair, especially in today's gaming market. Silhouette, you don't say that because it's entirely possible that they do, especially if you like throw it on Reddit and stuff. Like, you'd be astonished what devs watch and don't comment on, even if you're a tiny channel. Like, just try to have, you know, constructive feedback and as positive as you can. That's what I've tried to do with my not positive for the sake of being positive. That's bad advice, but just like, you know, your videos already hit. You already do what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Constructive.
I mean, the if they really do Paragon Sphere chucking for Warrior, that might finally sell me on Warrior.
Oh my god, dude, don't say that. This class, man. I wanna just run into this wall. Come here. I wanna show you this. This has killed me. Here, let's complain about something. We've been too positive on this game. Let me complain about something. Hang on. And again, this is a good point to bring up is, you know, just like Silhouette's talking about fractals, or I complain about Bladesworn and Warrior, damn it, I said it, all the time, is you complain about the things you love, right? Because I think it's healthy to not have a fanboy mentality, because that's not fanatic. You can acknowledge the things that suck, right? Like, and that leaves room for improvement. It's just important to not always dwell in that, oh, this sucks, I hate it, I'm going to keep playing it well, because that's not healthy either. Check this out. I can't stun break this.
I mean, I don't know. To be fair, I think until personal housing, that's probably been my relationship for like a good 8 years now, because I don't like MMOs. I can't stand MMOs. I think actually ArenaNet sold me. I was mad about Guild Wars 2 on the original announcement because I was in love with Guild Wars 1. I still play it. And they sold me by being, hey, in their manifesto, if you hate MMOs, you'll like this game.
I love that they called it a manifesto before that word gained negative connotation. If you don't, true. We looked it up the other day, and their original like design philosophy document that they put out, Chad, if you didn't know, is called the Guild Wars 2 Design Manifesto. And then that sounds like you're gonna go like, I don't know, shoot up the Pentagons, so they changed it to design documents or design philosophy document or something, which is kind of funny, but it's whatever. Yeah, he doesn't, I mean, that's fair. He doesn't like MMOs, but also this is very much not a traditional MMO. So,
yeah,
you know.
And I don't really like, I mean, at least I've always been at odds with a lot of players in this community because I just don't really play this game like an MMO where I often, like, I've been
I don't think it's meant to be played like an MMO.
Because of that.
I really don't.
That's what I believe, yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people, myself included, have fallen into the trap of, I need to like this game always forever. Instead of, oh, there's just no content for me right now. I'm going to go, like, play Hades or, you know, Mario or go outside and touch some grass or something. Which you forget, because you put so much time into it and stuff, and you want your game to always be good and Bladesworn to always be relevant, and, you know, that sometimes doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, I think this game also has a special kind of, like, Stockholm Syndrome fan, because there's just, it's a very unique combat system that's done so... Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I don't know. To me, that at least, like, being in the PvP community for so long, there's just no combat system like this game in even in single player games. Like I think, at least for me, I don't think this is a good comparison, but for me, the most similar experience I had to the joy I get from playing PvP is playing Hades. Like that
Hades
combat system felt the most similar to me of why I love Guild Wars 2.
It's funny you say that because Hades is like my go-to relax game, like my pick up and play popcorn game. I'm going on this forever.
I mean, being good at Guild Wars 2 makes me good at Hades, in my opinion. Like, from the moment I picked up Hades, I was like, oh, this game's easy. And then all my friends are, like, struggling with it. Yeah, I was like, why? It's so easy. Why are you having trouble?
You should check out Hades, too. It's intentionally hard off the bat, which is really good and something people were asking for. It's actually really good and really complete, so if you're worried about, like, not playing it because you don't want to ruin it, don't. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my friend to pick it up so I can play with them.
It's so sick. I've been keep threatening my chat that I'll stream it. Maybe I'll do that on Friday. Friday can be our like other games day or something. Yeah, you made the mistake of starting a YouTube channel, and that's what I hear what you were saying, especially when we've been talking like the comments and stuff. Silhouette, if you're trying to play this game for money or make it money off of the YouTube channel, as you pointed out, there's community's too small and it's a waste of time. If you're making YouTube videos because you enjoy it, I think inherently your YouTube videos will be better. That's why I stream, because like even if I'm in a like down mood or something, I can just hop on and stream. And if people don't like the video, I don't care because my livelihood isn't tied to it, right? It would be lovely if I could make $10 billion doing this every hour, but you know, Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that install base, and until that happens, that's not going to change no matter how good my videos are, tragically. Or if I just get a hot tub, maybe that'll help. But I do the YouTube thing and the Twitch thing for fun. So again, if you're hanging out and enjoying, that's good. If you're not, that's also good, because you recognize you can take a break and there's other stuff you can play. It's like how I always say, self-validation is really important. But enough philosophy, let's bring this back down to earth. Maddie mentions that they, and again, that's just my belief, don't take it for heart, but Maddie points out that this is the first time since a while that they will have bought the base version. And I think that's perfectly acceptable. For Soto, I only bought the base version, and then you have the option of upgrading to the deluxe one with the fancy table later. I probably will, Silhouette. I like a lot of your videos. Definitely check it out. But like, I would encourage you to buy only the base version for this game, because it shows that that's what's selling and that's what they can expect. You know, if you set yourself up for $75 worth of disappointment, don't. I don't know. Like, that just seems like such a recipe to fail, unless you're like, housing, take my money, which you might be, you know? How many people is this?
I'm probably gonna be like,
turn around. There's so many. Run away. Run away.
There's way too many people.
Run away.
Oh, they came from both directions?
Nah, it's fine.
It's over for me.
Nah, it's fine. You're a harbinger. You'll be good. All right. Gameplay time, chat. Wake up.
I juked all of them.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can make it out now. I love Spectral Walk. That's why I play Necro. It's just for Spec Walk.
Speaking of which, how excited are you for them to fuck up the Warclaw rework now that we've been too optimistic?
You know, if that trailer,
and that's okay, Maddie,
like image, if you can use a spear on top of Warclaw and they do actual mounted combat, it'll, no matter how bad it'll be great. But that might be the same thing where they had like horses in the key art of End of Dragons or whatever the example is.
That's actually
where it's just alive for art.
Ocean Bat says they always get the deluxe version or the ultimate version, split the gems with your wife. That's smart, because then you get like, you avoid the wife tax, because you get like basically a free table and such. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
I mean, it's half off gems. Is there ever a moment where gems are half off other than getting the deluxe?
Is it actually half off buying gems, right? Oh, you mean
4,000
like value.
gems is $50. Okay. Yeah, because it's $25 for the upgrade. It's
not half off gems. It's you get the deluxe, like the table and everything. Like in this case, it's harvesting tools, so it's actually worth it. You get like a set of harvesting tools and a table for your house and such, which you can upgrade to. Hopefully, at least you could with Soto later with gems. But you basically get that stuff for free. And if you're going to get a set of unlimited harvesting tools, that I would say is worth it. With Soto, I think you got like a raptor and a juggle emote, which to me is not worth it. Maybe to, someone RPing a mime out there, that's what they've always wanted, always. But harvesting tools are something you have to buy in this game for gems, so that I would say is function that you're paying for, and that you're essentially getting for free. But again, I'm not dunking on anyone who wants to spend. Please support my game. Oh God, like I'm not going to. I'm gonna, probably buy the $25 version after I test the spear, because I mostly just don't believe in pre-ordering stuff, really. Again, not ducky on anyone else. And if you want to go help somebody, go use Efficiency's link. I've been trying to get McLeod's link for the builder, but he's sleeping or in Peru or something. So go use somebody's referral link for God's sake.
We have to organize a VOA PvP tournament to get partner.
We have to do something. I haven't applied for partner like in the year since, like I applied originally when I made one video and they were like no, and I was like okay, yeah, fair enough, and I haven't done it since. But maybe the only thing I really want partner for is to selfishly go play with the people in EU like Captain Crepface and Kashima and stuff and see how bad the ping really is.
I mean, that's the main value of it, is getting that swap to EU.
Well, I'd make content with it too. I'm not saying I'd just do it.
Oh yeah.
You're dying.
Yeah, I'm fighting a thief.
Nice.
Inside of a camp because I'm dumb.
Okay, so Maddie's prediction, they'll fuck up Warclaw so much they'll remove World versus World. That's possible and would be very funny. Hey, Steve, what's up? So again, my suggestion for Warclaws, and this is why it gives me hope for, gaslighting myself into thinking they may fix my class one day, is Warclaws have been in sick quotes for like having this minus 2000 health thing since before Harbinger came out on your health bar. And that's weird. So hopefully, that portends things of the future of similar bug nature. So, Silent Seraph, maybe one day. Gunsaber, maybe one day. But they're changing Warclaws, and there's going to be a mastery associated with it. And whether or not that interacts with World versus World, or that'll be a separate mastery thing, who knows? My way I would like to see Warclaws implemented, that I've always said this, but I'm also not a Guardian player. I want them to have 3 packets of health that they can take, 3 damage ticks, whether that's Condi ticks, whether that's power ticks, whatever it is, and they need to move twice as fast. I'm coming to you, so you can stop dying to this thief.
Oh, I was dying to the camp, and then he keeps jumping on me whenever I try to kill the yak.
Dude, there's some good thieves in EVG.
Oh, he's not good. I almost killed him, but he just ran away. Thieves, just, you can't chase them.
So I was thinking about this as well, and we're just going to bounce all over the place now that we mostly covered housing, but like, did you know in World versus World there's 3 seconds of reveal, which is the same as PvE, but PvP there's 4? Like when you reveal something, when a thief breaks stealth in World versus World, it's the same as PvE, so they only have 3 seconds of reveal on them, but in PvP it's 4.
Yeah.
Which is like a huge difference.
Didn't it used to be 5?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Well, it's 1 second more in PvP than World versus World, which is really interesting to me. I'd love to see them like buff Thief and just change that, honestly, for World versus World. Because the thing with Thieves is you can win the fight, but they just run away.
Uh-oh. You know what? I'll just take this L. Oh, they're nice. They're being nice. No one's chasing me. They're on a mission.
Sick.
Wow, I respect you, Blue. Who's Blue? Wait, who's Blue?
Blackgate?
Oh, okay.
Never thought you would be cheering for Blackgate.
Hey, I used to be on Blackgate. In the first 2 tournaments, I was Blackgate.
That's another thing.
Blackgate has some respectful guilds. What, like Small Havocs on Blackgate?
A lot of our guild is actually on Blackgate. Gibbs included.
Big Quarry is the one I don't like. I've had too many experiences.
So
everyone else is fine.
PSA again, chat. If you're out there on VOA, hit the button before 8 days are up, so we can play together. We have no idea when the next relink will be or reshuffle, so get it in.
Wait, they just said it. They announced it.
When the next relink?
It's June 14th, I think.
June 14th is when it happens, like the beta happens. We don't know when we'll be repaired, so you could check the box to play with us again, because they've said you won't be able to transfer after you like commit to it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, get those in. And again, if you join the guild, the link in the description, the message of the day should work, but I'm sorting that out because Silhouette said it didn't. So I will have something probably next stream that you can message me that I'll just pin in the description. If you message me on Discord, I'll get you set up over there, because I'm also trying to figure out a way to do calls. Oh, you're going to pick on the one guy trying to play Bladesworn and make it a real class? That's so mean.
I'll 1v1. Oh, never mind. It's not a 1v1.
You'll 4v1 him, man. All right.
Hey, you gotta earn your Bladesworn gameplay.
All right. You gotta show them that it's a trash can. I have had Dragon Trigger whiff.
Oh, we're gonna die here.
Oh yeah, I'm super dead. I can't dodge to give myself resistance, so it's kind of a problem. Which is fair. There should be counterplay. All right, good luck, dude.
See ya.
No, it's fine. Yeet out. Where'd you go? Spirit
Walk?
Walk?
I'm gonna die. They're all
you
running.
got
Wait,
this.
Wait, this is our castle. This. What am I doing?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know why I logged out.
I keep forgetting we're red.
Oh man.
Wait, where'd you go? You went to Armistice? What are you doing?
I went to the loading screen because I forgot how this game works. So too much.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Hades. So chat, do you guys have anything you want to ask Sea Monster? Because he's like super into, like, again, because I'm super into builds, I can get really passionate about that, but he's like thought about the housing thing probably his entire life. So if there's anything you want to ask him while I try to get Silhouette into the actual guild, let's get those references over here. Dang,
every other MMO I've tried playing was just for the housing system, and I was even considering
what other MMOs have you tried
buying
playing?
early access for PAX Day until GW2 announced this, and now I'm free.
Yeah, which ones have you tried?
I tried what's it called? Black Desert. I tried WildStar. I tried Final Fantasy. I didn't get past. I didn't even get past, like, the story was garbage in the beginning of the game. I don't know why everyone says that the story's good. Probably like the expansion stories are good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably more like Final Fantasy 14, where you like the story is the thing people play for, right?
Well, that's not the Final Fantasy, like the core experience of Final Fantasy 14 is really bad. I think it's only like the expansion content that people like.
People keep bringing up WildStar, actually, both in my comments and in
WildStar is the best housing system probably ever.
That's what I heard.
And that's what, like, people are wondering how many WildStar devs are.
I was actually about to say that because that wasn't that NCSoft.
Yeah. Because that was, I think, part of the investor calls. They're bragging about shuffling that team into ArenaNet.
That's great. Like, honestly, I've always said they need to just hire more devs for this game. I don't care if it's me or Crapface or literally a cat with a shoe on its head. They just need more balanced devs. And if it's the same thing for like housing, more power to them. If they even just got those from like neighboring studios and stuff. What's up, Griminy?
Oh, I'm also an idiot. I've played RuneScape my whole life. That was like my first actual MMO, I guess.
RuneScape isn't real.
I did do a lot of the housing in that game.
RuneScape isn't real, and neither is gaslighting. Aren't they working on RuneScape 2 or something, or like Bluefield or something? No, the RuneScape devs were making like a whole new game or something. It was called Bluefield or something.
That dev team has made plenty of games.
Oh, okay. I mean, I assume they made all the money because everybody who played this game also played RuneScape. My only other MMO that I seriously played, and I don't count what's it called? The terrible, Neverwinter MMO that kind of bastardized that IP, in my opinion, was probably a mod for, what's it called? I can't fight this ranger and think at the same time. Neverwinter Nights 1, but it was sick because it was back when they freely gave out like map editors and whatnot. So people just made their own MMO, like straight up, hosted server, whatever else, with this map editor. It was awesome. And it was called Legends of Chance, and it was very Dungeons and Dragons, but it was also, free to play, and there was also a stat cap on it. So when I started this game, a lot of that translated over, and I was looking for something very similar, so limited amount of buttons, not the piano, WoW, or Final Fantasy 14 hotkeys. And the one thing I do miss is kind of that native player interaction. I hope housing brings that back a little bit. I've heard Oceanbat Warhammer Online has good World vs. World combat. The other one that people bring up a lot, not only my friend Edmonton has talked about a lot, but Dark Age of Camelot apparently had really good World vs. World-esque combat, where you would capture territories and then have to fight people, and then based on those territories, you would get different benefits and such. It was pretty cool. I'm just astonished more things haven't tried to copy World vs. World because, again, it's a miracle of God. They've basically done nothing.
I still, I think ArenaNet would make it into the mainstream if they made a standalone World vs. World game. I think that would be an incredible game on Twitch. People would love it.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Lord, I hope not. Kashima is my answer to that. I can elaborate in a second. But the one thing that came up, especially since a lot of these old devs are older, we never got to do this Guild Wars 2 dev vets, it seems, or at least their neighboring studios, is when do they put out the mobile app? Right? Because it's half done, or was. This is crazy. Oh, I can help you with these guys. Coming.
They just keep running into their tower.
One's gonna die.
Oh yeah, he's brave. I like him.
He's dead.
The core guy ran away.
Correct. It was meant as a PvP game, Griminy, but that again comes down to, at least from what I heard from the dude that runs the officer that runs my guild missions is named Tom. He's really cool, and he has a lot of, he's been around forever. He has a lot of insight into how Guild Wars 2 was originally allocated and funded as far as dev goes, and because NCSoft, again, the parent company, was chasing the PvP scene at the time, a lot of this game was designed, from what I understand and from what he's told me, as a PvP game. But because that kind of petered out, it just ended up with a badass combat system that was later rolled into PvP. So that's where the PvP is in this game, realistically.
I mean, yeah, they mishandled it from even pre-launch. They because they were banking on their whole rollout was assuming that before launch they would start with an ESL funding or whatever, an ESL league, and they only got that, I think, around Heart of Thorns, and they just waited. They didn't do anything with PvP until they got that sort of official league going. Yeah, and then by that point they had already fucked the balance, and their devs were just so PvE focused. Because I don't know, I mean, I think it's that transition from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2 was fascinating to me, because the whole reason they pitched Guild Wars 2 before they even started working on it to the fans was, hey, we realized that Guild Wars 1 is the game, it's all about the PvP. We designed it for PvP in mind, but the systems, underlying systems, make it impossible to balance any PvP mode on a real competitive level. So we're going to make a whole new combat system with what we learned after making 3 expansions, and make a new game so that we can actually finally support PvP in a real tournament sense. And then literally even before launch, they fully abandoned that.
Well, let's not say fully abandoned. We did get automated tournaments eventually, but yeah, I get you.
Eventually supportive. I mean, like, in the roadmap that they had released, they completely abandoned what they were originally planning, and then tried it again during Heart of Thorns. But the problem was they tried it during the most
let's also do raids
of the game. Yeah, and that's when they were also already balancing their game towards PvE endgame content, because that's the community of Guild Wars 2. That's what they picked up. Guild Wars 1 had a PvP-centric player base. Guild Wars 2 never really achieved that. And I think it's still good, though. I don't think it's...
And they're realizing that with the new, we're making a new game mode. Let's even just test the waters by putting this out, even if we're not making a new game mode announcement that I had at the beginning of the video. Here's a secret, chat. A lot of the time when a company says they're working on something, they're not. They're just saying they're working on it to see if there's any engagement at all. I mean, look at alliances, right? Even if that started as a pet project, they had to actually make sure people wanted it first, or even that it was going to work. And we didn't end up with alliances, but we got alliances light. So they had to figure out what would work and what doesn't. Maybe the map is done and we don't get a new game mode. Maybe, we just get a new map and it gets rolled into that. That's just kind of how stuff rolls. And that's true. Esports was a thing, and now it's not except COD and League. So obviously there's other exceptions, but very true. It's a decent point, Ocean Bat. I don't know.
Exactly. That was the whole problem they ran into.
Right.
And I think the actual problem was just Conquest. Guild Wars 1 was a PvP game because it had 20 PvP
The real
modes.
problem,
Guild Wars
if
2
we're
only
say,
came out with Conquest.
I was going to say, the real problem, in quotes, with PvP in this game is not that the combat system is bad. The combat system probably, I say this all the time, is probably the best in any MMO, period. It's that Conquest is awful to watch, and then they made Stronghold. By the time MOBAs were dying, it's also not a MOBA, and it's terrible to watch. So... There's no spectating function. It's in the game, but you only get it if you're a tournament broadcaster. And it's dude, just let me be able to, just more stuff. Make it available to the community, I mean, I think that's what's always frustrated me about Guild Wars 2, ArenaNet, and the Guild Wars 2 area, is there's so many incredible features in Guild Wars 1 that are theoretically supported in the engine, because it's the same engine, and they just never ported those features over to Guild Wars 2, the spectator modes. There's just way too many things that Guild Wars 1 had that made it what it was and made it what it is, that Guild Wars 2 still to this day does not have, and they've slowly been adding a bunch of them. But I really think that's the number one thing, is the spectator mode. And I mean, I think also in their reaction to PvP mode, I think it's the same reaction I've been having, which is just a real shame that they're doing this without fixing Stronghold. I do think they need to do both, but I do think saying that at some point they want to
do a complete rework of Stronghold, that would just put so much faith back into, okay, I see you believe in PvP and you believe in making a real PvP game in Guild Wars.
So something I've noticed with the recent studio, especially with the uptick in general communication, is they seem to only be talking about stuff when they're actually seriously considering it now. And like, or even acknowledging that it exists, right? It's kind of where they'll conspicuously say nothing if it's like, you know, they're not talking about that class, that balance patch, or they won't answer questions. Or like when the, you know, Jebro on his podcast asked the devs, are you doing more weapons? None of them said shit. Because yeah, they were doing new weapon, but it was a cool thing, hopefully, you know? So but they couldn't say anything because it was about their new expansion. So it's like, I kind of get that sense with PvP as well, where they're like, we're doing new amulets. We're going to acknowledge this game mode exists at all and see where this goes, right? And that gives me renewed hope more than anything. I mean, maybe again, I'm gaslighting myself. It's the game I play. I'm biased. Shut up. But like, that gives me more hope than anything that one day something like War Claws will get fixed, or something like PvP will get touched, or something like Edge of the Mists will become relevant, or we'll get player housing one day, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, their new way of communicating is everything right now. I think it's what the game always needed.
I think they don't get enough credit for it.
Yeah.
Or at least aren't lately. I think that's really important to remember. ArenaNet does some dumb shit. I do some dumb shit. You should call them out for that. You should call me out for that. But to their credit, communication is the most important thing, and they've been doing that better than ever. So
yeah, I mean, it's just there's a backlog of abandoned features, abandoned content, and shitty communication, and I think that's like why they've tried communicating well before. I think this is the first time I think they struck the right balance of it. But every time like they've had periods where they overshared. They shared even more than this. And I think
hey, we're
even
working
like
on alliances.
Guild Wars 2 is they announced Guild Wars 2 when they had barely started working on it, right? Like they were oversharing back before.
Probably why they haven't announced or acknowledged Guild Wars 3.
Yeah, and I think they got burnt by it and they were scared away from it for so long. But at the end of the day, I think they hurt themselves by being scared of exactly what's happening now, right? Like more communication is going to lead to more backlash no matter what, because people always find a reason to be mad, and the more backlog of real reasons to be mad you have, the more people are going to be motivated to complain, you know? Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, like they just have to push through it and ignore, or you know, I mean, I think they have to do what at points they have done, which is, and they're saying they're doing again, which is sifting through the bullshit and figuring out where the real criticisms are and where it's like you're just mad for the sake of being mad.
And AI can help with that, but I'm kidding, but only sort of. No, there are some actual good AI tools that are actually coming out now that people will actually use for dealing with feedback and actually finding pain points. Unfortunately, they're mostly being used to circumvent those pain points to create more complicated phone trees right now for Amazon, so you just hang up the phone instead of trying to get your thing RMA'd. But there are some good implementations that someone like ArenaNet could use. Anyway, sidetrack.
Well, I want to respond to this comment by Steve McLean. Are you related to the ArenaNet dev? But I think Stronghold should never be a focus at any point. But I think there are easy changes to make in Stronghold by just removing aspects of it that would fix it. And I don't know why they never did that. Like if you just remove the trebuchets, those are completely unnecessary. If you remove this whole supply thing and just make the NPCs auto spawn like in real MOBAs,
and that's why I like that they're just trying stuff right now. I don't know why they decided
to do that. Yeah, like I think that like all they need to do to fix Stronghold is remove a couple things, because it's way too many things happening for a 5v5, or just make it a 10v10. That would also fix it. And that's all the dev time it needs, and then they can leave it rotting again. But I do think just like any simple fix like that would do a lot to bring back good faith from the PvP community. Even if no one plays it, even if no one ever plays Stronghold, just knowing that they tried, I think is enough to give confidence that this new PvP mode could be something real.
I'll tell you what, the thing that gives me more confidence than anything, or at least hopium, whatever you want to call it, for PvP in general in this game, in the future of this game, as far as a 3-game game mode, or 3-game mode game, is not the amulets, it's not the fact that they acknowledge PvP exists at all. It's the fact that they are going back and hopefully making the Jin's Dominion objective more meaningful. Because, no, that's, to me, as somebody who exists in low plat, high gold most of the time, the thing that a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you played infinitely more PvP than I do, but even though I hate it, one of the best PvP maps is Skyhammer, in my opinion. Same thing with Silent Storm. Silent Storm, yes and no for various reasons, but Skyhammer, because there's an actual comeback mechanic that's meaningful. Yeah. And it forces, it's not even a rubber band mechanic like you have in League, like auto rubber banding, right, if one team's down. It's just something that forces different ways of engagement. And that in a game that can be about team fight or, you know, roaming, where that's, you know, maybe not how it was originally designed, but that's how the balance has come to reflect in today's Guild Wars 2 PvP, where you win so many engagements and then you've won the match, or you out-level them and then you've won the match, is important. And that acknowledges kind of the fundamental problem that I have with a lot of the PvP maps. Is not that we haven't gotten new maps, although new ones would be lovely, obviously. It's that the ones that we have are not really functional or haven't been touched with like comeback mechanics forever. And the fact that they're like, hey, let's just try something, even if we literally never do anything else, is great.
Yeah, you know? I mean, I think the main problem with the Conquest maps, I think that is definitely one of them that I think they always had this like cute idea of, oh, like completely different secondary mechanics that aren't standardized. But I think for Conquest to be competitive, the secondary objective always has to be a comeback mechanic, because I think these maps have always had this interesting balance, which make them terrible for rank and raise the skill ceiling for tournament like organized play, because different map secondary objectives will either favor team play or favor roaming. And I think that's why Jin's Dominion sucks, and I've been abusing it in ranked, is because it is the only map that's completely skewed towards roaming DPS, and especially mobility classes. You can
especially
completely carry a game 1v5, in the way it currently is. And no other map can you, like, maybe Legend Foe Fire is sort of like that, and maybe you can make an argument for Colosseum. But even those maps, they still have, because they're just bigger than the other maps, they still allow team fights to coalesce and actually change the course of the game. So they still have reasons to team fight. Whereas Jin's Dominion, it's too small. It's like you're team fighting and you're stuck in rows in every team fight, and you're losing value all the time. So I think it's just like it doesn't seem like there's a very much of an awareness in most Conquest maps for how it needs to be designed to actually standardize them and make them competitive, and not have the maps themselves determine most ranked games. I do think it does always add interesting choice. Like it really tests the skill of a team, because the way Conquest maps work, you have to have multi-classers on your team. You need people who can change their roles based on the map.
Or that one season where everything
and that's why USA
Sorry.
dominates NA. Yeah, I mean that's true. Like when something's just overtuned, that's what it's going to be. But that's why joking. USA is able to dominate NA, is because their multi-classing is strong, and they understand the maps better than anyone and how to abuse them.
I was gonna say they're bullies, but they're good.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's just like Helio's game knowledge is second to none. Like I do think he's probably better than any EU player too, in just raw game knowledge. And I think he's taught a lot of those players when they've come to NA. He just understands the maps and the mechanics better than most people, and he's able to leverage that to, like, he can make any 5-man team great just by existing and giving them information.
I was gonna say, it's not only necessarily one person or roaming. I know what you're saying with Helio, but like you're mentioning roaming DPS right now is so critical, but for clarification for people catching the VOD, it always isn't that. Sometimes, you know, like when Heart of Thorns came out, Chronomancer was immortal and could just literally sit on a point while invincible and just hold the point. So it's not just necessarily one thing or the other or whatever. It's like more the hot flavor of like whatever's relevant. And right now it's just pure damage, go kill everything and snowball the match. Which is, again, there's fixes for that
I've been running an off-meta version of that by playing Hammer Willbender because it's funny, but it's exactly like, that's the only, like, playing a kind of one-shotty build is the only way to do it.
Right.
There's the best one right now is probably Vindicator, if you really want to game the meta, but at the end of the day, that you kind of have to play a power spec or a duelist that can survive a power spec.
Right. And I mean, that's a whole different balance. That's more of a balance discussion. That's rolls into my energy sigil video that we talked a little bit about and how fast paced or what they could do for like macro decisions to balance the game mode. But I want to go back to what we were talking about, which was more like how they approach actual engage or like team fights versus roaming. And I want to pitch you a bad idea.
Okay.
This is toning it down from the seriousness a little bit, but I actually rarely have Guild Wars 2 dreams anymore. I used to have probably an unhealthy amount of them, but the one that I had that I actually was like, whoa, I woke up and I was like, damn it, that's not real, was I had this idea for like a long corridor of a PvP map, right? And it's not really a corridor, like it's like an L shape, but one of like there's a short distance between 2 points, sort of like Jin's Dominion, then there's a longer distance between 2 points. I don't know what has the longest distance, but think like side points on Silent Storm, like that long, right? Yeah. And as the match goes on, it like the points sink into the ocean and become like uncontestable. So you have like 3 points to start, and then it ends up being 2, but the point values are doubled, and then it ends up just being 1, but the point values are like tripled with that 1. And it happens in order, so it gradually forces everyone like first the 2 that are like close to each other, the one on the tip of the L sinks into the water, so you only have the 2 that are far apart, and then one of the other ones sinks into the L, so you only have the last one. Like, do you think something like that could work, or would that just end up ultimately just like favoring whatever team could hold out to, be the best team fight team for the last bit?
Yeah, I think this game, the balance, every balance meta has always been saved by the fact that no conquest mode favors, until Jin's Dominion, no conquest mode favors team fight or roaming DPS. And because like I think every exciting monthly tournament that's been casted, or like when Teapot used to run tournaments, every exciting one was someone came up, like when Ryan came up with a cool roaming comp that had these like side note bunkers. So it's the whole idea was essentially 5-man across the map and then bunker down the points you did cap and just hold that 2 cap and win off of it. And that kind of those sort of like cool creative comps would not be possible without the 3 caps always being up and being spaced out like they are in the original map.
Right. Well, I don't think
so. Yeah, I think it always kind of carries this game's bad balance that the conquest mode is. I mean, I always love conquest. I just don't think it's an esports mode, but it is probably one of the best ways to showcase Guild Wars 2's original balance design and combat. And I don't think they can do better from what existed in core. But I think now with elite specs and what they've done and how damage has been increased and team fights have shifted. Yeah, I do think.
I was gonna say, just in general, the game is super fast paced compared to like what original Conquest was designed around. Like unbelievably. Exactly. Even if you just look at the game times, like it's so much faster.
Yeah. Well, I think I think it's much more complicated than this, but they've just given so much more AoE to classes. Like ever since Scourge came out, Conquest was a joke because the Scourge can just shut down a whole point. Dragon Hunters before that, Dragon Hunters were incredibly busted. That's when I got good at PvP because I realized, wait, I can just solo a point in 1v3 because Dragon Hunter, you can't stand on a point that a Dragon Hunter's on in its early balance.
The counterplay is move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna get decapped, and decap rangers used to have to work hard to do that.
Purity of purpose is, again, that's more of a balanced discussion, Matt. He brings up the removal of purity of purpose. I think, yes, but that's the carnal. It's less of a purity of purpose issue as more just like things do more stuff. It's more of a carnival ticket issue if we're going to stick with that analogy, where it's just like everything has so many carnival tickets, but that's just the power creep of the game. And again, that's a separate discussion. But like chat's been talking about 15v15 or 10v10, which is a very good point, and that's what they teased forever ago. So it's my brain is telling me that's a possibility.
It's probably, I think, because they teased GVG. I think they have to do it for the community that exists, right? Because there is still a large and existing PvP community, and there's no reason to. There's just no reason to make content for a community that doesn't exist anymore. So I think they have to do something GVG related. But I think this game is unwatchable even on 5v5. Okay. Like, you go beyond a 2v2 or 3v3 team fight, it's unwatchable. So if they ever want it to,
it's kind of unwatchable now.
Competitively, yeah. I mean, I think the animations are it's beyond it's already too far gone. But I do think, like, if you watch
we could have
the
won
3v3 mini seasons,
Right.
he told me to run, and I was
I did.
talking. I got lost.
It's okay.
It's my fault. Yeah, it's my fault. It's both our faults.
It's okay. The discussion is more important today.
Yeah.
We'll have Pseudo get sweaty another night. Maybe we can come back and kill these nerds. They're really protecting their camp. Anyway, continue your thought. I killed myself with staff 3. It's the best. Chat, did you see the tiny rock? Sorry, continue.
If, like, during the mini seasons on the Auric Span map, where it's like an open bridge, that is the most watchable Guild Wars 2 PvP has ever been. And I think leaning into that, like, I think why Stronghold had potential that they completely wasted is because you can design in a way that forces people to go into 1v1s and 2v2s. Like that, they should, if they're gonna stick to 5v5, they need to force people to never actually do a 5v5.
Interesting. Tell me more.
I mean, I just think that's what the balance of the game, or the combat system of the game, lends itself to. Like, you want people to engage in 1v1s, 2v2s, and maximum a 3v3. Because those are both watchable and engaging fights that involve a lot of skill and aren't as swingy.
It doesn't need to be an esports game, Roan. We're just talking about how they could fix PvP, or what they could do with their limited resources. I don't think I don't think it ever will be, or fucking is a esports game. It's awful to watch, and we're talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't think it ever had to be. I think by this point it's probably too late, unless they do a whole competitive only animation rework, which would probably be a crazy undertaking. That's not worth it. But yeah, I mean, I think just even in like the watchability, I think is important for just casuals entering PvP modes, because
games can be trash.
You can't understand what's going on when you're new to this game.
Absolutely not. And again, there's the fact that we already talked about, I think probably before they got there, and people might tune in and out. Like, there's no spectator mode that's meaningful in this game. It doesn't teach you. It doesn't have a meaningful PvP tutorial. It's not, it doesn't go say, hey, go stomp this guy. I mean, it did once upon a time, but that doesn't really teach you how to play PvP, right? So the fact that we're getting anything at all between, hey, we're testing the waters, saying we're developing a new mode, giving us amulets, and giving us hopefully some meaningful rework instead of just a balance patch on Jin's Dominion is amazing. The fact that they acknowledge it at all, again, I think is huge, like that it exists, because it kind of speaks to the fact that, hey, we're just going to try some stuff. And then if it doesn't work, then it's like, you know what, screw it. Dev out different GHs. What's a GH, Silhouette? Guild Hall? Yeah, that's what I think too.
I mean, real GVG support I think is a must, because that's like the last.
This would be a good gateway.
Housing is for the RP community that will exist regardless if they support them.
Oh god, it's got to be that. It's got to be 10v10 or 15v15, because the Alliance beta, whatever we're calling this. I'm just chat.
Yeah, no,
here's the thing.
It has to be that.
I'm giving,
and it's smart. It's the smartest option.
I'm gonna give 100 gold to whoever comes up with the best 1 or 2 word for what alliances are going to come up with. What we should call alliances that aren't alliances that are coming out in 8 days. Go. I want to call them pseudo alliances, but that's me being vain. So what are we calling this shit? That'll give chat something to play around with, and then I can ignore them like I ignored the one guy who guessed player housing on Monday. Whoever guessed player housing, by the way, let me know if you did. I'll go back and chat and get you some money, because I promised 50 gold. Was it you? Were you the one dude? Because a lot of people were like Spear, a lot of people were like, I checked it, and a bunch of people wrote Spear, and I couldn't find the 1 or 2 dudes that wrote housing.
I forget what tipped me off to it, but something in the teaser trailer,
Federation.
It had to be housing. That'd be great.
I kind of like that. Feudalism?
I was joking that it would be underwater housing. I was wrong on the underwater joke, because
I'll give you 50 gold.
Underwater onto land, not yeah, I was I thought it'd be funny. I mean, my favorite expansion announcement will always be that April Fool's fan joke of the underwater X-Pack. That's the best expansion landing page for this game I've ever seen.
Bro, the fucking best landing page I've ever seen for this game was, what was it? What did they just do that was hysterical and funny? They've had some good April Fool's patch notes. I think that's what my brain is yelling at me. Not the ones last time, the ones before that, where they were like, I'm blanking now that I'm trying to come up with it. I remember last year's. The one before the last one was really funny. Because they're aware of a lot of stuff, like incrementally buffed axe again on necromancer or something. Like they know a lot of the stuff. So don't say they don't watch. They don't watch a lot of stuff, but I do think that they're being more receptive, if nothing else, sort of like the communication thing to hopefully smaller channels, if nothing else. And hey, Muckluck's been reporting bugs, so maybe some of them will get fixed. Oh man. Roan, there is zero chance of that. Don't gaslight yourself. I want it back too, dude. If you want more Bladesworn complaining, just rewind the VOD. But yeah, I hope so. I do think that, if nothing else, they've started acknowledging that certain classes, maybe like Bladesworn, probably weren't the best idea for support. So maybe, a year down the line, we get Alacrity removed and it put on Spellbreaker or something. And that's me really hope-yumming it up, right? Because fun fact, they're actually removing... You might not have caught my other streams, I don't blame you. They're removing regen from the final head of the auto attack chain, so Bladesworn's literally, because it doesn't have an F1's not going to be able to give regen in PvE. And they're either colossally stupid, or they're doing that because they hate Bladesworn, or both of those things, or they're going to rework it at some point. So maybe we get F1 skills, maybe we get nothing, maybe we get another weapon slot, maybe Bladesworn gets reworked and gets relevant Grandmasters and a better playstyle than just spamming all of the skills, or maybe Cal was really dating the dev that came up with it and they had a messy breakup and it's going to stay in the dumpster forever. I don't know. I still enjoy it. It's my trash can, right?
Real quick, someone in chat needs to help me. I somehow opened this like Discord
nice
soundboard overlay and it's in front of my game. I don't know how to close it.
Just close Discord. Literally like from your taskbar and come back. It'll give me time to add Silhouette. If Silhouette hasn't accepted my friend request, I'm gonna be sad. And all this time he's had. Yeah. PSA again, if you are in the guild and you haven't gotten an invite to the Discord, or you're trying to use the one that apparently works sometimes and doesn't work other times, in the message of the day, I will be doing a night where I just invite everybody and get you all set up on Discord and stuff. So we will see. The thing with Roan is you have to catch more devs with honey than with vinegar, and I think I tried to do that with my little, whole advice I give to everybody, including myself, when I, get depressed or scream at myself in the mirror in the morning. But you have to try to be positive and constructive with your feedback. But also, there's a lot of people saying, "Hey, fix Bladesworn. This is not what it was at launch, and this is not why I bought End of Dragons, because this is basically false advertising at this point." But again, there's 36 classes in this game, and Berserker was in the dumpster for literally 5 years. So I'm not expecting miracles, right? But they fixed it eventually, so maybe one day. Hope, but carefully optimistic or cautiously optimistic.
I'm back, and I need to tell Jan that I'm a firm believer there's nothing wrong with underwater combat. They should have never removed Capricorn. They should have underwater PvP, and the only problem was the balance. All they had to do was do a balance pass, and they were too lazy, so they just killed underwater combat. They got to bring it back.
I mean, maybe. This is literally testing the water. I was going to suggest, actually, so for my Dream L PvP map that I described to you, my original idea was for two of the nodes, either the short or the long one. Not really sure. There's also a giant brawl going on behind us, by the way.
Did you ever get to play on the original Capricorn?
No,
the best
I
PvP
didn't.
Map?
I'm sure I played when that was relevant, but I saw one match with it, and then I wasn't very good at video games back then. So.
I played this build I made that was Shortbow Thief. It was absolute garbage, but I would 1v4 with it in casual arenas with other people who also had no idea what they were doing.
There was a deathmatch map. I remember playing that with Juice a little bit, and he had a Res Guardian or something with Runes of Mercy.
That still exists in
I was gonna say arenas. That's still in private arenas and stuff.
Yeah. I've done some tournaments on it. It's a pretty cool map. The problem with that map is there's way too many terrain glitches though.
Yeah, obviously. And also it's tiny, so everything in AoE now would just, you drop a scored shade and you're like, oh, I won the game.
Wait, the one I know is a little bigger.
There's a tiny little puddle in the middle of it. You know what I'm talking about? Did I hallucinate this?
The one that's kind of circular and then has a little outside area and an inside little coliseum thing.
Wonder who I sent a Discord request to.
I think there might actually be two different deathmatch maps that were retired.
Possibly.
And I think we're talking about the two different ones.
It's also possible we're talking about literally the same map. Nice! Dragon Trigger fucked up for no reason, chat. Somebody give me a fucking gun saber in a trash can.
The ones in the mini seasons are tiny. Hollow the Mist is a stupid map that shouldn't exist. And no map should have a no PvP map should have a ceiling that you can throw your camera and get fucked by.
I agree. Silhouette, type that in Here, send that to me in a mail, and I'm gonna try to not die to the Zerg.
Oh, old Sky, playing an engineer on old Skyhammer was
that.
peak gaming. That was a great time.
You know, it's funny. They've been talking and memeing on like decap scrapper and like how bad it is and how much Cal loves battering ram and stuff and how it's gonna knock up instead of knock off and stuff. And again, you can have weird balance decisions. Again, I think Bladesworn should actually be fun. That's a weird decision that not everyone's behind. I get it. But I also think there's way more oppressive decap builds in the game than Scrapper, especially today. Like, have you seen Kick Spellbreaker? I fought one in a plat match, and he had like, it was just sustained kick Spellbreaker, and it would just kick you off points and lock you there. And it was the most frustrating goddamn thing. I just left. I was like, fuck this, dude. You can have your place in hell. It worked, no worries. Oh, you got the request? Sick. Okay.
I still think the most infamous players in ranked are warriors that run the stupidest thing imaginable.
Oh, it's so good. Well. It's because no one plays it, so we can like jank random crap where it's like, hey, this trait's... Dude, have you seen the title card for my Daring Dragon video? Like, actually, though? I don't blame you if you haven't, but it's all people whispering me, telling me I was hacking because they didn't understand the class. But they're like...
I mean, that's what I love about playing off-meta shit. Like, I've been playing Hammer, Willbender just because no one understands how that CC ring works. So it's so funny to watch people just auto run into it like 3 times and get free damage.
Yeah, and that's what I love about PvP. That's why, you know, when I used to do these with RSQ, he would say, we just need more people playing PvP. And I completely agree. Where it's just like, you know, let me know when you join Silhouette, and anyone else, if you need the invite, I guess I can do it now. Where it's just like, you get really weird builds just from a build perspective of just like, you know, filtering the water that is humanity through the public server. Like, oh, what can I do with this? And that's why I really don't like, and here, let's balance it out with a complaint from Pseudo for ArenaNet. I really don't like the homogenization of boons thing and what it did to PvP, and I really lament them. Obviously, I'm biased, but sacrificing the cool traits like Fervent Force on Untamed and Daring Dragon on Bladesworn, and even some other stuff, to just get boons in PvE, I think that was really sloppy, and there were way better ways to do that, but I'm not a balance dev, so who knows?
I do think
it really lost a lot of flavor already.
Because Relic gives, like, universal traits back. Like, you can just make a trait on a Relic.
That's what I was going to do. Class. Like, if I had been in charge, I would have said, hey, here's the support line. Here's the one Grandmaster and, like, Nature Magic or whatever the crap. That if you have X spec, do Y boon on class mechanic. Done. You don't have to sacrifice Grandmasters and Elite specs. The only reason I think they did that is they were worried someone was going to try to A, glitch it, or B, they wanted to make it really obvious that you need this expansion to play this support elite spec, because there's no... Honest to God, if I do think Cal Kohan, for all his faults, is a good balance dev. I think he memes and is really sarcastic, and when he tries, he's really good. And there's no reason at all that Bladesworn should have alacrity in PvE. Absolutely, like, other than it's the new thing, we need to juice our numbers of people playing this. There's no other reason for that. So, I don't know. That's a big 404 on my, you know, but again, the balance patches balance that out. Recent balance patches have been good.
An idea I had that I abandoned because it's nonsense. It would just take way too many dev resources. But I really think there should be separate elite specs for each game mode.
That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. But it'd be just be so cool if there was, like, elite specs fully designed for War vs. World, fully designed for PvP, and
I mean, there are. It's called Spellbreaker.
I mean, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it exists already, just in a shitty way.
Yeah, I guess more or less that kind of, for better or worse, that kind of happened to Warrior, where everyone, whenever I wanted, you know, in case you didn't know, chat, before I started complaining about Bladesworn, I used to complain about Berserker and Mirage all the time, mostly because Mirage had one dodge for literally 2 years and felt awful. And Berserker, because it was even worse than both of these have ever been in any game mode, and was basically unplayable in World vs. World. It didn't have an F1 skill, it didn't generate adrenaline, it didn't give itself might, it didn't do anything. And I was really into the idea of Berserker. And that's, you know, character flaw of me playing the thing that sucks aside and complaining about it to the sky. Like, there's always going to be that thing where it was like, it was designed for like this one game mode, or hamstrung for this one game mode, even if it was, you know, Berserker was sort of designed for all three. And then it was like, or Spellbreaker. I used to have people tell me all the time, there's no way they can implement Spellbreaker in PvE. There's no way. I was like, they could just up the damage. And then they just up the damage, and everyone plays Spellbreaker in PvE now and likes it. But it took a while to get there.
I'm trapped in the wall.
Nice. Solid. I can pray or kneel. And again, game has 10 years old. It takes time, you know. We'll see. Plus or minus. I have other things I can play, or I can just, you know, keep complaining about my trash can and enjoy it.
I do think the build diversity, at least in PvP, is better than ever. I think it's mostly because of weapon mastery and relics, but I do think a lot of the credit goes to the balance.
You want me to like switch?
They're doing a much better job.
You want me to like switch servers and like throw up a catapult so you can get out of the wall, or what?
I just wanted to hang out in here.
Okay, that's cool. I'll give you alacrity. I don't know, chat. That's a pretty good discussion on housing and player balance and stuff. We can just like, he can carry me in PvP or whatever for the rest of the night. Do you guys have any questions? Like, what do you guys? Here's a better question. Now that we've had our whole discussion, everything else. Now that this song is taking forever to end. What are you guys excited for? Like, genuinely, don't force yourself. Like, if you are pessimistic about the next expansion, say that. If like, what are you guys feeling seeing Soto and how it released? Like, again, I thought Soto was a perfect, exactly a BB plus expansion for $25. I think if you spent $75 on Soto, like we've discussed, yeah, I would have some FOMO there, because it wasn't probably worth $75 for me compared to the other ones. But that's also because I saw what they were releasing and I didn't spend $75 on it. So I'm not calling out anyone that did. I'm just wondering. So like, personally for me, I love the idea of player housing, even though it's not my thing. I love the idea of land spears, because I like when ArenaNet, even if they fuck it up, I really like when they try weird combat stuff. Like, again, gun saber. Is it functional? Fuck no. Is this the coolest concept they put in the game since chronomancer to me? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Does it have potential? Oh yeah. Like, gun samurai, yo, in a world versus world setting. Oh yeah. And that's my class fantasy. It doesn't have to be everybody's, but personally, I see the potential there. I see the potential. Like, and again, yeah, that's what I keep coming back to for people complaining about Soto. Was it worth $25 to you? Shrug?
As the Wizards hater, I gotta say it was. I mean, even though, like, housing, I personally love. I think it, if done right, it's incredible for the longevity of this game and for the community of this game to really tie content back together. But I think what actually has me excited about this expansion is the story. I think Mersat, Titan, White Mantle lore is some of the strongest writing ArenaNet's ever had. Yeah, it's strong. I mean, I think like the story they told with Codicus and Lake York was one of the strongest Guild Wars 2 stories they had before Season 4. I think in Prophecies, it was the best part of Guild Wars 1 Prophecies was the Mersat lore, the White Mantle lore. I think like this is the richest lore and plot holes that the franchise has. Because they never really addressed what happens to the rest of the Titans. And if they're doing that now, I think that's huge. Like, that might even be bigger than them wrapping up the Dragon story. Because the Dragon story, in my opinion, like, they obviously always dropped hints and had plans for it, but just as a player at the time, it felt shoehorned into Eye of the North because they knew they were making Guild Wars 2. I realized, in retrospect, there were a lot of hints there, but what really felt like the real kind of endgame threat for Tyria were Titans. So if they go back to that, or at least like the legacy of the Titans and how they destroyed this place in Janthir, like I think the story ties into the environment. And I do feel like, I think my favorite thing about Guild Wars, and I think the best dev team at Guild Wars has always been the level builder, the level designers, like the environment team, the maps they put out. They work faster than everyone and they work at quality, and they are really good at telling stories through the environment, and this I think is the best potential they've ever had to do that. So I think the story will be a massive highlight of this X Pack as well.
I think their trailer was also already one of the strongest that they've had. Right up there with that Joko one. Oh,
I miss Joko. A good time.
I think everybody misses Joko. Sergio's pointing...
The like only time this community had real memes.
Sergio's pointing out in chat that the Abaddon shoulders are very similar to the existing, or the pre-order ones. And I pointed this out in that short, but also it's true that it's entirely possible they announced a new fractal. It's entirely possible that the new fractal is... There's some good people by our home if you want to come back and kill these idiots.
Vote for Evan Nashblade, our true president.
Yeah, pretty much. It's entirely possible we actually get the Abaddon fractal. Let's just poke that copium awesome. Together. It'd be pretty cool. Especially since they're going like, hey, swimsuits, hey, let's just pull all the levers, fuck it. They know
I love how it felt like ArenaNet was going through a period where they were ashamed of banking on Guild Wars 1 lore and were like, fuck Guild Wars 1, and they made End of Dragons. And then they went right back to, actually, no, we're not ashamed. We're going to rehash Guild Wars 1 as much as we need to, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be what makes this game good again. I mean, that game's never stopped being good, but I do think it's funny that
I disagree. I think Iceberg Saga sucked balls.
First half was some of the best. Like, Drizzlewood was great.
That was
you
not
mean
the
you
first...
didn't like the PvE Warverse map?
Was that the first half?
Yeah, it was the end of the first half. I think, or maybe it was the beginning. We had Drizzlewood. We had what is that other map?
It was Grothmar, Jorah, Eye of the North, and then Drizzlewood. Grothmar was good.
I think because the biggest problem with Icebrood, obviously, we don't even talk about the RNs, but they started us out on the prologue was like more content than any previous Living World patch, and so it looked like, oh, if the prologue is this huge, then we're gonna it's gonna be the best thing ever. This is gonna be the peak of Guild Wars 2, and then every patch when it was still good after was like less than the prologue until they did Drizzlewood, which was a little bit bigger, and then it all went downhill.
What I really enjoyed about Grothmar is it's one of the two maps, like that and Old Lion's Arch to me are maps that I want to exist in.
Yeah.
And I want, they're happy. And I don't need every map to be literally South Sun Cove. It would be nice to have one ArenaNet, don't get me wrong. But to me, visually, I mean, you like Demon World. I don't like the aesthetic of the Cryptus. And again, this comes down to I love it, I hate it. Sort of different people's tastes, right? I want just a couple of happy maps in this game. Maybe that's me being old. I don't know.
No, I fully agree with you. That's what I think this expansion can bring, right? I think it's going to bring both.
I'm not opposed to ice environments.
It's going to have the peaceful map. Yeah, I don't like the Crypts. I like the F-Park's big form.
You're allowed to.
But I just like the map design. I didn't like the Crypsis, but I like the
Stranger Things vines everywhere. Okay, that's fair. It's very unique. It's very unique if you ignore the most.
I mean, I don't.
It felt like.
I mean, maybe maybe the Stranger Things was connected. I thought it was them trying to get off the Elden Ring hype.
Maybe, a little bit A, a little bit of B. They acknowledged already, we already covered that and the problems they ran into telling the story and why it felt they were trying to do something that they ultimately may or may not have reached with the storytelling. Yeah. And we've talked about that a lot, but sir, you seem to have fallen.
I think ArenaNet's writing team is best at small character-focused stories, where it's they focus on, the Kautika story was some of their better writing. A bunch of moments in Season 4, when they get to focus on one villain like Joko, if they had fleshed out and actually given Joko the screen time he deserved,
I think he was
that was probably their strongest moment of just writing a villain and writing characters' relationships to that villain, and not having the villain just be pure dragon evil, force of nature.
Yeah, the dragon thing was weird. I miss Primordius. Just one voice line or whatever he got. It's funny they joke about that in End of Dragons as well. I heard so much after being so hyped playing Eye of the North for the first time. Well, apparently there was a bunch of stuff he was supposed to be the size of a continent or something, and then they were like, nah.
He was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it was so cool because Eye of the North revealed his lieutenant, the Destroyer, the Great Destroyer.
Right.
And that was one of the biggest things we had seen in that game other than the Abaddon. And it was they just had all this lore that was this thing is an ant compared to actual Primordius. We had to do this whole expansion just to kill his commander.
Right.
We're fucked. Primordius is a million times stronger than this thing. And then we get real Primordius and oh, it's not that at all.
It's just in here because we had to have it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one hurt. People are saying, what if the, Abaddon's not a fractal? What if it's a raid? What if it's everything, Sergio? They reuse their content enough, but we'll see, right? I almost think they'd
going back to the CM being buggy I've always thought, because weren't fractals on launch pretty buggy? I always thought whatever it is with how they
just buggy, fractals. But I think people's better. Silhouette can, if he's here, chime in, because I've done the regular one and I haven't done the CM, but I think the bigger issue is the bugs actually impact the balance of the fractal this time, and that's why people are nah, it's not just oh, this just literally doesn't work. It's this doesn't work and also was kind of over-designed.
Yeah. I just always wondered about that because I thought fractals are like uniquely extra buggy and like weird in how this game works.
Maybe. Unclear. We need to have our thing. I've been trying to plan with him in a day where he can like carry me through fractals, and then I can like browbeat him into playing some world versus world. It'll be fun. We'll die a bunch in each other's respective game modes. It'll be sick.
I mean, I was invited to try the CM yesterday, and then everyone immediately gave up when they learned what it was like, and the fact that I think it's 66%. There's like an ad phase, and if you fail there, you have to reset the whole fractal and reopen it.
Wow, that's awful.
So we just gave up, didn't try it.
Yep, that sounds right. I don't know, man. Spears alone will get $25 from me, especially since they look like they're going to be on launch. I don't know if they actually said anything about that. Chat, great question for you guys as we wrap this up. Are spears going to be on launch? Is anything that I read at the beginning of the stream say that they're on launch, or is that coming later? You're alone, by the way, and these people are good. You are going to fucking die.
I'm not alone.
All right.
I am targeting the warrior, though, which is stupid.
Yeah, you should be targeting the fucking thief.
Oh, no, that's not as a necro. I'll target the mesmer, though.
They're like gonna fucking bitch out like a bitch.
Yeah, they keep running. Uh-oh.
Told you.
Warrior turned on me. Hey, they just targeted me. Oh, they had the coordinated burst. That was smart. Oh, I ranked up.
Sick. Do it while you were
down. But no, I really think there's huge potential for the player housing to tie in like any progression this game has ever had. If they tie in these progression systems, there's so much they can do using it as like a make your own hub for the future.
Bro, if they're gonna be at launch and the first betas at the end of the month, they better be fucking done. Right? Like, they did new like weapons and then they had like 2 months to fix that shit. Oh boy.
I mean, the way it looks like it's rolling out,
nosedive.
They've never, I don't think any of the trailers have they had that many animations for new weapons, right? Like, those animations looked fully implemented.
I mean, yeah, but they also had 3.
Oh, I thought it was like 4 or 5.
They showed 3 classes. They showed a little bit of Ranger, possibly 4, but they showed a little bit of Ranger where it does like a fox leap. They showed what looks like an elementalist throwing a fire thing, and they showed what's probably a guardian throwing spears into the air.
Oh, I think the Ellie one I thought was a warrior.
There's no way they gave warrior something that nice looking. Don't fucking kid yourself.
No, warrior's gonna have the banner Paragon. It's only right after Spellbreaker.
I'm not saying shit, dude. I've jinxed enough things in this game. I said I'd eat a shoe if they gave Warrior Alacrity, and I still owe my chat a shoe-eating stream. Oh my god.
I think spears are going to be really great. I am very excited. I'm excited. If spears going to get close to my dream of Thief Greatsword.
That's true. You can just like reskin it, right? Oh man. So yeah,
that would be fun.
Exciting masteries, housing. So that the masteries that we know, right, are spears, housing. There's something else that actually probably Warclaw doesn't hopefully suck balls.
That was the most confusing comment of the rollout. Why did they say what we've learned about mounts since implementing the Warclaw? Isn't the Warclaw like the 3rd most recent mount?
I mean, if you don't count the Skyscale rework, I guess.
Because what came after Warclaw? Like the Turtle, the Skyscale rework? Isn't that it?
I don't know when Warclaw came out, if it was after Skyscale or before. Chat, help. I'm gonna guess they came out around the same time, at least in my brain. I'm incredibly old and probably gonna die soon. But, like, no, the Turtle, there's the Turtle, which kinda sucks. No offense. They also had the thing...
the Turtle filled a niche that I appreciate so much. I can just get people to carry me and take my hands off my mouse and keyboard and just like watch a video.
Warclaw came out very briefly.
Acting me around.
Before, so it was... Warclaw came out right before Skyscale, according to Maddie, which I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that is a... Skyscale is a lot to learn from.
So it was,
game-breaking mount.
Well, Skyscale kind of invalidated the Springer, right? Like, Turtle kind of is a jack of all trades.
I saw someone mention if they give, because they when they did the Skyscale rework, they gave a lot of the functionality to Griffin also. So if they do the Warclaw reclaw a rework and give a
Work
lot
Claw
of its
recall,
functionality.
I like that.
Yeah. If they give some of those things to Springer, it could also revive Springer. Like if they give Work Claw double jump and the Springer double jump, that'd be awesome.
If I give Work Claw a double jump, I'm fine with it if it's no longer an evade in World versus World.
Yeah.
That's just gonna break keeps, though.
I mean, I have a feeling the reworks are separate for each game mode, right? Because the Work Claw already functions differently in PvE.
The thing that gets me, again, I have to temper my expectations with the mastery system because there's so many things, like, why aren't skiffs in World versus World?
Is there enough water for them?
It doesn't matter. There's one keep that you could use them outside to build catapults on top of the skiffs that people anchor. It would be cool.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, like, why
they still they need to make naval warfare.
World?
They need to figure out naval warfare in Go vs 2 still.
They already have it. Just build catapults on the skiff.
Sure.
Blows my goddamn brain out. Like, the mastery system is always only for one game mode until somebody figures out a way to abuse it in PvP, and then they just disable it there entirely. It's so strange.
Wow, my Harbinger shout is bugged. What's going on? Oh, I have control. I'm spamming guild chat. That's why.
Sick.
Now there's like 10 people here. Oh well.
All right, we're killing one guy. It's good. Where are you?
I don't even know. I was just running in circles.
I'm gonna wrap up the stream,
I'm all the
though.
way in
Nah, it's fine. This has been a good stream, though. Talking with chat, talking with stuff. Again, people, if you need an invite to the Discord, I'll get you guys set up. Probably Monday.
Yeah, fishing pole, that's peak. When they release the fishing pole for all classes, yeah, I'll give them all my money for that.
Fishing pole is a kit. I mean, maybe there's a skin. Who knows? All right, kids.
Fishing pole spear, that'd be great.
No, I'm Pseudo. This is Sea Monster. Thank you for joining. I'll give them $25 just for spears and to see what the new expansion is. Again, I'd probably just give them $25 at this point. I have a sunk cost fallacy enough, so don't take my word for it. Like, judge for yourself. Test out the spears. Check out the stream on the 21st. Join us for that if you'd like. We'll be here doing a react stream for that. And if you like it here, hit that sub button or the follow button. Don't hit like any kind of other button because I don't make any money from this crap. But yeah, this has been awesome. You have any final thoughts?
I'm seeing some skimmer hate. Skimmers are awesome, boats are cool, and I think if you fully upgrade the tier 3 Jade thing for it, it's actually faster than the skimmer.
It is, actually. I need to get in the habit of, you know what I need to do? I need to set up my little stream deck so I have a button I can press to actually use skiffs, because then I would use it, because I bought like so many skins for it anyway, and I never use it.
Oh, that's my pro tip. Download the Go vs 2 radio mount
radio
menu. It's so good. It's like the most, it's the only add-on that I care about for this game. It changed my life.
I will think about it. But yeah, have a good night, guys. Cheers. I'll be back on this Friday. We'll actually stream some Hades for people interested on Twitch, and then we'll be back on Monday, Wednesday. Back to our Monday, Wednesdays, Friday schedule at 9 for Guild Wars and stuff. Yeah, have a good night, and cheers. I will see you in Janthir. Peace out.